Welcome, everybody. This is XCast, episode number 29 here on the EmpireMedia.com. It's day 4,661 in the search for Tim Shovelday. I'm your host, Josh. We're here with my cousin, Nick. Adam isn't going to be here tonight. I'm staring at him right now, but he's walking out. He's got more important stuff to do. Something about a kid's birthday or some lame excuse like that. I don't know. But we got a whole crew of people in the studio today. I don't think we've ever had this many people. Maybe since the Infatuations came on. Oh, that's maybe that day. But since that we got people live in studio. We got call-in guests coming in. We have podcast to shamelessly plug coming up for you tonight on the XCast. So we're gonna jump right into it because we got so much to talk about. We're here with Khalil Johnson. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up? How you doing, Josh?
What's first? What do you want to talk about first? We got like 20 things to talk about.
Man, right now we just want to talk about We Entertainment is our label. It's the record label that consists of myself and Chevy Van Dyke, and we got our protege Freedom State Wood.
Right on.
And we're going to be working on a project coming up soon. It's called the Adams Theater, and that project's going to consist of us three and a couple of other people that we're going to probably put on that. We don't know exactly when it's going to drop, so we'll have to get you guys back with some information on that later.
And Freedom State Wood's on the mic with us right now, right?
Yeah, Freedom State Wood, he's in the house right now. He's right there in the back. He's in the back. Well, what we got next to us right now is the guy who I really want to premiere tonight, and that's Anthony Cuffey.
Right on.
Anthony Cuffey.
In the building. You know how we do it.
Anthony Cuffey and his partner, they created a wonderful web series called Pray.
Right
and
on.
Pray is amazing. So I'm going to let Anthony tell y'all about it.
Jump right into it, man, please.
Well, Pray is a drama series based on conspiracy, but conspiracy is only an illusion. For so many, conspiracy is actually their reality. And so what we deal with is how the elite control politics and how that ultimately affects the hood.
Right on. Sounds like one of our deep issues.
I was going to say, all of a sudden, it sounds like a regular show for us.
You know what, though? One thing I like about what Anthony is doing with the Pray thing, Anthony is really, really focused on trying to bring the city back. I think he's the Spike Lee of Detroit.
Right on.
That's what I'm going to say off rip. We got the new Spike Lee of Detroit right here, sitting right by me. So y'all got to give him some support.
Who's the dude who he did Any Given Sunday? Oliver Stone. Right?
Oh, Oliver Stone.
Yeah, you're gonna be like Oliver Stone, like hiding out, like because you're talking all the conspiracy, exposing all the stuff.
I like Stone. I think
he'd be hiding out.
He like everything. Like break down your little thing you sent me when you were talking about all the different people that you study.
Oh yeah, it's so many different people, but I'm definitely like a Truffaut, a Hitchcock, Scorsese, Darabont. Fans and Oscar Micheaux. He's one of the first black filmmakers ever to exist, and what he did back in the early 1900s was amazing. If you know the period and how the struggle was for black Americans, he being who he was just amazing what he was able to do. So that's a dope story. If anybody want to check that out, look him up as a filmmaker. It's pretty impressive.
Right on. Nick knows much more about film than I do.
What you know about film, Nick?
Yeah, what you do, Nick?
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, it's actually it's lame, but it's a Wonderful Life. Out of all the movies,
is that the Christmas classic,
man?
Yeah. Now, who's the lead actor in that?
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
I love it. It's a sentimental favorite, but I like it because
It was on yesterday, actually.
It was?
Yeah,
it's such a great film, especially when you talk about the downtrodden in society being screwed over. It is the ultimate tale of what you were just talking about.
We're kind of dealing with that right now.
It's honestly, that's why I love that movie. And movies, I think 1947. It is just it resonates exactly the same right now as it did.
That movie's considered like a feel-good movie, but like the last 3 minutes of the movie are feel-good.
Is that a black and white film?
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. Wow. And it's very depressing. It's a very depressing movie.
The plot line of the film is man tries to kill himself,
right,
and gets redeemed by an angel.
By an angel.
I mean, really, that's the.
It actually starts off with two angels having a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's a.
You see this movie? That's a movie buff. See these guys right here.
I know,
I wouldn't have known nothing
This is
about
gonna be the
that.
show. Too bad you
No,
guys
I've never
show. They're
seen
just
it.
gonna talk about movies all night.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even know what to do about that. I'm a Scarface guy.
So,
That's
so
from
your
I love
Palma's great.
Scorsese too. Yeah, I love De Palma. I love them all.
so your web show, Pray.
Yeah.
Now, is this has the first episode of this been released? You got some episodes out already,
No.
or is this upcoming?
No, we put out an episode like 2 weeks ago, and the response is actually is great. Honestly,
Awesome.
we hadn't put out the second one yet because we're still trying to grow the following behind it before we release it. But I've been getting phone calls, texts, messages from around the country. Actually, can't wait to see episode 2. So we're excited about it. I think episode 2 is going to be an awakening because it sets more of a foundation of what this particular series is all about, and I can't wait to see the feedback.
Break down the plot.
Well, basically, what you have is
I know you did a little bit, but
no. What you have is you have what. In America, when we talk about politics, everyone has something on everyone. That's how that world exists. It's like an underground world of deceit, deception, and corruption. And so what we see above ground is the smiling, the shaking of hands, the loving, beautiful things that we think our politicians really are. But behind the veil is some deep-seated evil and horror. And so we exploit that. And we do it in a very entertaining way. And I think what happens is when we look at what's happening in the world with the police shootings, the race issues that's happening in America, the issue of the elite is to continue to divide and conquer. You can't. The power is in the unity of the people.
Right.
But if you keep the people divided, they can continue to do what they've been doing. And so we deal with that in a very entertaining way.
Now you can't have totalitarianism without division.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing that drives me crazy. And I mean, obviously, race is always is probably still the number one issue that we've never really properly dealt with in this country.
And you know what's so funny about that? We sitting in the studio right now. Josh, as y'all know, and Nick. 2 cool dudes. It's 5 big black guys right here now. and you know what?
Guys.
There is no tension. There is no anything that makes us feel uncomfortable with each other.
Although the one Mexican did just walk out.
Oh, yeah.
And we need him back in the room.
We need him back.
He's the only one that can run the board.
He runs it. So.
Get that dude back in here.
But what we're saying is that love is love, man. And it's all about good people. So that's what I focus on as a person. And I know I connect with a person like Cuffy because he's a good person. And then, just meeting you guys, I'm already feeling comfortable and just ready,
It's all love.
Just have
I can't
fun
wait
with
to
it
see your
tonight,
show, man. This is right up my
I actually
alley.
sent you the information to the show.
Okay.
So when y'all out there, y'all check it out. Pray. What's the YouTube?
Look up Anthony Cuffy. That's Anthony, and Cuffy is CUFF as in Fred IE. Look up my page and Pray. Episode 1 is definitely on there. In fact, today I got a call. It's an LA car, and we won't put any names out there because we're still trying to move it to where hopefully we're picked up by a network. But there's some potential love that's going on. They just asked that we do something that we're trying to get completed. We can't really give out any details on it right now,
Right.
but
I understand.
just to say that it's making some traction in the right direction. We don't necessarily have the numbers that we would like, but the important thing is to get the main people involved so that we can make the moves that we're trying to
Gotta
make.
put your name out. What's running time on each episode?
It's roughly about 15 to 16
Right.
minutes.
Perfect for.
And it's perfect for
Yeah.
internet. We could have made it 30 minutes, but we had to be wise on our movement.
Right. Well, hey, make 2 15-minute shows, and then it works better.
Works better, yeah, absolutely.
for sitting in front of a computer.
What we did on Pray, we actually did the Gentleman Gang, which is the group with me and Chevy Van Dyke.
Mhm.
We actually did the theme song for Pray.
Right on.
I don't know if you guys can load it up now or later on in the show, but we would love to let the listeners check it out.
Can we do that?
Yeah,
Nick's gonna
Just
try.
Give me a,
Okay,
Nick's gonna
we'll do that with Nick
Yeah.
ready. Let y'all hear that.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you the story on that too. I was in LA actually, out there to LA to pitch
Oh, wait.
Pray to get some interest out, behind it. And so when I'm laying down, getting ready to go through my day, I get a call from Sid and Khalil, better known as Khalil. I know him for some years now. We know on the set. He calls me up and he says,
He says my real name, by the way. Khalil is, the stage moniker.
Stage name. And so he calls me up and he's like, yo, man, what you doing? I said, man, I'm getting ready to do my day, process my day so that I can make my days worth something. And he was like, listen, man, I seen the project of what you guys are doing. You got to let us on. I'm like, bro, this dude, been knowing this dude forever. He's one of the most talented rappers, voice, the whole nine. I was like, well, do your thing, man. He was like, do you have an idea where you're trying to go with it? And I gave him a basis. I like J. Cole. And so he heard it, and he said, man, we're going to get back with you, and you tell me what you think. Now, I didn't think anything of it because I just trust the guy's talent like that. But I didn't know it was going to be on the level that it was. And what Chevy Van Dyke, and DJ Cage did is amazing.
Yeah, shout out DJ Cage, man. Hopefully we can get a chance to talk to him later on in the night. Yeah.
Yeah. Cage, man, you kind of remind me of, what's my man from the Get Down? It's several cats. It's Hurt. It's Flash. He's one of them guys that you keep hearing about the legend, but you never see him.
Yeah, that's what Cage is pretty much. He like hidden in the dust. You need to have that ghost face mask on because
he's a puppet.
Actually, that's just one of. You ever seen the movie They Live?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He wears the mask in some of his shows in the movie They Live, so that's his little moniker. So shout out DJ Cage, man.
He's a puppet master.
He's awesome, man. Good dude though, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely good dude. But yeah, what you were saying, man.
I just finished it. Just you guys did an amazing job, and it fits so well.
And that plays before each episode.
Yeah.
Right on.
The beat was actually produced by Chevy Van Dyke and
give it up
DJ
to Chevy.
Cage, brought his help to it. So Chevy Van Dyke, got to give a shout out to Chevy Van Dyke. That's the in-house producer for We Entertainment. He puts in a lot of work. Good dude as well. With him and DJ Cage together, we actually got a real good hit squad on a production tip, I think. At the end of the day, we try to bring that actual hip-hop back.
Right.
No disrespect to the skinny jean rappers. We're taking it back to the 501, the Timberlands, man. It's going back to that era.
Gritty.
Oh, man.
In that vein, have you heard Tribe's new album?
Man,
you know what? I heard one record off Tribe's new album, and I haven't listened to the whole album because I want to sit and listen to the whole album.
Dude, it's phenomenal.
It's
unreal how good it is. Yeah.
Did you see the performance on Saturday Night Live?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't even know they were coming out with a new album. I saw that on there, and I was like, you got to be.
Guess who put me up on the new album?
Who?
Chevy Van Dyke.
Are you serious?
I'm riding in the car.
Oh, hell yeah.
On Van Dyke in a Chevy.
Oh, makes sense, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, for real though, Chevy did put me up on the. We was driving. What is that thing? You got Sirius Satellite? What's that?
We was listening to Static Selector.
Yeah, Static Selector. Shout out to him.
And they had an exclusive going like the night before the album dropped.
And we in the car losing our mind off a Tribe Called Quest.
I was a Fight fan, so too.
Yeah, so we losing our mind off of that.
No, it's no time has passed, and the only thing that bums me out is they're calling it their final album. It's like, what? No,
it's never a final album.
Please, guys, and the only upside to that is if they did. And I respect any artist who just says, I'm done with it.
I got a question for y'all.
Sure, what's up?
How come hip hop artists won't stay in the game like the Rolling Stones? Kiss.
I don't know. I don't know. That's such a good question.
He's imagining old rapper, old MC Hammer on stage, talking about too legit to quit.
It'd be awesome. It'd be
nice,
awesome.
Right? That's what we need to see.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hammer, man. Get out there and dance, man. When you're 51, we need to see you out there.
Although I must say, as a music lover, I agree with what you said. But if I was them, I think the first time I hit that 7-figure mark, I'd just be like, I think I'm retired.
Yeah, I think I'd be done.
You done too? No, but see, think about hip hop.
Move into something else. I'm already
This is the real thing about people who actually write music and who are really into hip hop. We just do it because we love it. So I got a thing I always say, I do this shit for free just to show people I'm fresh.
Right.
Yeah, and we Josh and I saw Guns N' Roses over the summer, which has always been one of our favorite bands.
Yeah.
They hadn't toured in 20 years. Oh yeah. And I mean that, of course, they come out and
Can
they're
you sing a little bit for us?
He actually
Welcome to the jungle.
Josh, you got it.
No,
but
but
Rose, right?
Give me a couple. Hand me a couple of those red stripes you guys are drinking.
I know about.
Give me all the red stripes in here.
Yep.
No, but GNR tours, they're selling out 70,000 seats every show. You can't tell me that
70,000 seats.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
Damn.
You can't tell me that if the remaining members of NWA went on tour,
right,
they wouldn't do the exact same thing.
Of course.
Yeah, they would. They would.
Yeah.
They would be
just Snoop and Dre.
Yeah.
Just the two of them.
Just those two, actually.
Just toured together.
Cube. You gotta have Cuban. You
I-
gotta bring
that would
Rand.
too.
You got Rand, DJ Yella.
Think how
Hey,
huge
I mean,
it
you know,
would be.
they
would.
call it Guns N' Roses, but is it all 5 original
No, of
members?
course not.
No, it's not.
They still got Axel, right?
It's still
All
got
right.
Axel.
And the
They
guy
got
with the
Slash.
Got
funny
the
little
face.
hair with
Yep.
the smoke with the
They got Axel. They got
Who's that
Slash.
guy?
They got Axel, Slash, and Duff McKagan. They got 3 of the 5 originals, and Steven Adler's too drugged out, and
Okay.
Izzy Stradlin, I don't know, bought an island or something.
I don't. Yeah, well, I think he genuinely
Wow,
just
man.
has too much money.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
but
cash.
so they got
That's a lot of cash.
60% of the original band. 2 guys filled in, and they're just selling out everything. They're begging them to do more shows.
They are. They
can't
announced
do
it
it. I
already.
mean, there's no reason to think that rap artists, that pop artists, that anybody that just stood the,
The
test
only
of time
rap, the only
and came
rap
back and
artist
did
I
that
know right now
wouldn't
that's
have the
still
same
out
success.
there really doing it is Dougie Fresh. Like Dougie Fresh still
Dougie
relevant. Slick Rick.
No,
no,
Short Dog.
well, yeah, Too Short. Too Short gonna always, anytime it's pussy on the deck, he gonna stay on the game. That doesn't change. That's gonna always be on floor. So you know you can always sell that. But you got but no, who's that? You got who else, man? Who else is really out
Most
there?
of our rappers transition to acting.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. That is true. I
you-
always
Go
tell
ahead.
me if you guys agree with this statement, because I always say that. Now I'm not trying to offend anybody, because
Oh,
I know
man, you can't
you're
offend-
a
Definitely can't
movie
offend.
guy. You guys are music guys.
You can't
So
offend.
but I was saying, do you guys believe this statement? I can't do either one of them,
Mhm.
but is it harder to be a songwriter, musician than it is to be an actor? Because the reason I say that I think it is because anytime an actor, a great actor,
Mhm.
tries to be a musician, it's terrible.
It fails.
It's terrible. But not every time, but a lot of times, a musician tries to become an actor. You got Will Smith. You got Ice-T. You got Ice Cube.
But you gotta look
You
at it
got
this
LL
way though.
Cool J. You got, you know what I
Here's
mean?
the thing, you gotta look at it this way. Will Smith was already an actor.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
acted in the videos
Right.
because you gotta act the videos out. So when you writing out a song like Parents Don't Understand, you're already acting that out in your head when you wrote that. That's just like writing a script in so many ways. So you got to think about a person like Will Smith. He was already an actor by heart. I mean, he's a character.
Do you know
Most
what?
rappers are characters, but the real hip hop dudes,
Mhm.
they just do that rap stuff
Right.
just to do it. You know, like
Right.
even if I don't ever make any money from doing music, I'm gonna still write music. It's just
Right.
simple as that.
Right.
That's
It's
really
kind of
what it
it's kind of like me and Nick and our love for podcasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see? Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys got
Hey.
fired from your
Yeah,
last
yeah,
show.
exactly.
So yes, y'all still doing it because y'all love it.
Yeah, you
But
know.
y'all, this show should be syndicated. I mean, you guys got the radio voice, like, hey Nick, hey Bob, what's going on? I mean,
No,
you guys sound
y'all
like
really need
radio.
to see Nick's hair. Nick got this hairstyle. I mean, I swear,
This would
no,
be a
this
syndicated
flawless
show. I like
hairstyle
you
right
guys.
here going on. If his beard is I gotta show. I wish I could show y'all a picture of his hairstyle. I just want to take his hair with me.
Yeah, yeah, that's his natural hair color.
Oh
too.
yeah, definitely. I was
That's
born
all
with this.
natural, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
We got preloaded. Y'all want to take a listen to
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. Let's do it. This is the theme song.
This is the theme song for the web series Pray.
Awesome.
And I'm
Let's hear
gonna
it.
bring in my man Marv so he can kick a little bit about the Pray as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, cool. I'll start the track.
Don't you pray, say your prayers, heartless streets, care is rare, few is fair, where real requires a fearless flare, innocence lost, life ain't fair, the weight one bears, don't you dare breathe this air, you ain't from it, make you run it, lose your life, you ain't forthcoming, guns in abundance, ambitions get summoned, they'll take your whole face, dog is nothing, keep them homicides with gunners, conversation gets serious when the Remy runners, on that first 48 in this land we be gunning, they get it with the goon stunting, diamond stunning, immaculate flash, life is fast, souls get lost, you might not last, the beast is brash, cash corrupts, corrodes, principles crash, amends escape the grabs, top down transgressions, all hell a fucking lesson, for the pressure stay stressing the soul. Now ye lay down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep, but if I should die before I wake, then I pray the Lord my soul to take, ghouls and goblins, ghouls and goblins. I pray the Lord forgive me for my sins. Deep inside Everybody know I'm trying to make a end. But with him, he know I never can pretend. So if I make it to them gates, Father, please let me in. I repent for this people, repent for all my evils, repent for all them lustful thoughts that seem to creep through my mind. I wish I could rewind time. I try to rectify all my crimes before they snatch away my freedom or strip away my human rights. But what's worse, they do it in plain sight. Symbolism in your TV show, frequency through radio. Got you brainwashed on money, cars, and clothes. And these silicone models twerking in their videos, trying to get told by a rapper with dope. But you ain't know he is sold and sold. Illuminati puppets do anything just to stay in the public. And the whole crowd loves them. They worshiping an idol god. And you wonder why times are getting hard. No jobs, public assassins called cops. There's more to genocide, there's poison in every drop. Black president, but change is yet to come. Cause the ghouls and the goblins got chains on everyone. Either you fight or you succumb. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from their brains. Lay down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. What if I should die before I wake? Then I pray the Lord my soul to take. Ghouls and goblins. Ghouls and goblins.
Damn. I like it, man. Good stuff, dude.
Yeah, that was a good song.
Hell
Shout
yeah.
out to them fellas that killed it.
No, man. I can't wait to watch this show.
You gotta listen to the words though. The words deep. They just set the tone. Yeah.
I'm into it, man. Holy shit. That was good stuff, man. Damn. See, Nick, you weren't here last week. His sister comes on here. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago. His sister comes on here and blows her mind with her voice. And now he's doing the same thing.
Only
I'm
thing
impressed,
I was
man.
disappointed about was that, they didn't call me to be on it, to sing or anything.
Right,
and
right.
I got all this talent just pent up
Right.
because I sing.
Do you?
All right,
Sweet.
yeah, you want to hear?
Yeah.
No.
Ghouls and goblins.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, ghouls and goblins.
Why
I
you
had
guys?
this run that I do that's pretty sweet.
Why you guys not giving him a
Yeah,
shot?
why y'all doing that? Don't do that.
He shot himself without scheduling conflicts.
Well, I'm gonna make my own record. I don't need them anyway. You know what I'm saying?
No, man. Tell us a little bit about that song, or if you could. You want to jump? Oh, you want to jump in, or real quick?
Let's go say it and holler
Sorry,
about
Khalil
that
jumped off. We can jump back out. We can.
Chevy can jump in on it.
Chevy Van Dyke.
So I just want to talk
Amazing.
about that song for a second.
Musical chairs around here. Okay. I made the track probably 2 years ago.
Oh, right. All right on.
And what was interesting about it is, we kicked it around, and then out of nowhere he says, I'm about to get us on a web series. It's about to be on Netflix. And I'm like, word? For real? All right, man, I'm riding with you on it, And he's so enthusiastic about the music, that, I'm like, all right, let's do it, bro. We go in the studio, we get the Cage studio, and, Cage has this really elaborate setup, just Mac everything.
Can't be better than we got here at the XCast, right?
Well, it's quite comparable.
I'm sure. It's
but
better.
the only thing you guys are missing is the red light bulb
Oh, yeah.
for the ambiance.
Yeah. Yeah. We do need that. We do need that.
So
Get one of those on eBay, Nick.
All right. I'll buy it right now.
we will gift you one when we leave here, But so we go in and it just came together, man, almost like, it sounds cliche-ish, but it came together almost like magic. Like, we laid the track out and then we came back like maybe 2 or 3 different times to just make sure we gave Cuffy, the best possible product that we could give him, So, and just the way it lined up with what he had going on, it was perfect.
I love the beat on the song, but I love the lyrics because he's giving me the description. I haven't seen the show yet. He's giving me the description, and I'm hearing the song, and I'm saying, yeah, you're describing the song. You're describing the show. You're telling us. Well, you're telling us what the show is going to be about.
With regard to like the Gentleman Gang, it's like, when we work, it's this guy can hear a melody and he can cut a hook out of a melody immediately. So when you get that hook, like he saw the title of the actual track, and when he saw the title, it was just like he started doing this little, and next thing you know, we had a hook. Like literally 5 minutes into just bouncing ideas, he had a hook. We went from the hook, but he told us, he kind of gave me like what the theme was, and I'm like, yo, I could write a verse to this no time, And just from that night, we had our spirits or whatever.
Right.
From that night, the next day, I'm like, yo, I'm 8 bars in, bro. You better catch up. And he says, yeah, I already finished. I just got to get the timing together. What? So, of course, I had to get my other 8 bars together, and it all came together, so.
All right, you guys want to talk about your project with DJ Cage right now? Or you want to, some other people want to jump in here too?
Before that, though,
Sure, what's up, man?
You can go on my page and actually see some behind the scenes on the actual studio session as well.
Yeah, he actually posted that.
What we're going to do too is, if you guys want, I assume you will, but that song, links to your page, all this stuff, we're going to put all this on our page.
Okay.
Too.
Awesome.
So we'll get with you at the end of the show, write all this stuff down. Okay. We'll do all that, and we'll get it moving. We'll try to cross promote as much as we can, and make sure that all the stuff's available right on the EmpireMedia.com.
Word up.
We got 9:40, Khalil. All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
He's ready to do it.
Cool. 9:40. We got DJ Cage calling in. That's gonna be fun.
We're ready to go.
We're ready to go with that. That's gonna be exciting. So let's jump to some other stuff because we got
Marvin.
For sure.
Let's get Marvin. I'm gonna slide on it.
Yeah, we're doing some musical chairs here.
We playing musical chairs. We apologize, guys.
Oh, you're right on. No. I feel bad. I kicked Marv off because I asked the wrong question.
No. You know what? Marv is a part of Marv's a part of the Pray Project, so we got to get him in and let him talk about what he did to contribute to it. Because one thing we believe as a unit together is that we all make sure that everybody shine, everybody get the light. Yes, therefore, if everybody get the light, no one feels like they're in the darkness. And that's the problem with a lot of people. That's why they can't unite, because everybody's trying to take the light over the next person. We ain't going to do that. So, if y'all got any message from us tonight, just know that you got to unite with each other, for real.
That's right.
Right on. Marv, tell us your role in Pray, because I'm intrigued by this show. I want to see this show. It sounds right up my alley.
Oh, yeah.
It really does. I love stuff like this.
It's an ideal brainchild of Cuff. He called me one day. He said, Marv, I need you to help me write this series out. He ran it down to me, told me what it was all about, and I jumped on it. Loved it immediately. And from my perspective, my take on it when he broke down Pray to me was I looked at it as a mirror to society, holding up a reflection of society and how perverse and corrupt society has become. And it just got my juices flowing to write about. We look at today, we're going through something now with an election that people are saying is rigged. And this is right in front of our eyes right now. We got Donald Trump as the president-elect. Donald Trump. Right. So we're writing that in this script. Not exactly that, but just what we're seeing playing out in society right now. Society has become really, especially in politics, in that institution.
There's
really
crazy
corrupt.
accusations all over the place. A lot of things going
on that's making people nervous.
And it's you got to think, when you got accusations going on from both sides, and then
accusations actually flow both ways.
Right.
I'll be dead honest. When we came out here to the studio, to the podcast, we all in the car. It's 3 of us in the car. It's 2 guys in the other car. We rolling up to the house. Everybody, we in Plymouth, Michigan. We feeling a little uncomfortable. So, the first thing we thinking is, hey, somebody right up think we out here trying to do something wrong. We out here trying to do the podcast with some of our brothers. That's you 2 guys. Right. So at the end of the day, it's the misconception of people that when they see you and they first thing they think is this and that. But hardworking guys, everybody in here, half of us probably, most of us college degrees. Yep. So, you got to stop looking at people from the outside and checking from the inside. That's really what it comes down to.
Right. No, I talk about this is radio for limited audience, but I work in Southfield.
Southfield?
In Southfield, Michigan, for those of you who don't know about Southfield, it has basically every race of people you could ever have. It is the definition of a mixing bowl.
Yeah.
And I hear about stuff on the radio and television, and we're divided, and this group hates this group and everything. And I'm like, I see how someone who just watching television or just reading stuff on the internet could come to believe that. And maybe to some people it is true, but for me, like you were saying, what we're doing tonight, for me and my daily life,
it's not like that
it's
at all.
not like that at all. I see I talk to an Arab person, African American person, a Jewish guy, an Italian dude. I'm a white Caucasian, and I work with them every single day of my life. I see them every single day, and we never have problems. We're just
Coexist,
people.
yeah.
and that's what it is. It's we gotta coexist.
Right.
You can't move. You can't say you in a land of the free, home of the brave, when we can't come together.
No, exactly. And like you said,
what type of America is that?
Yeah, no, and that's it exists and it functions and it works. But and I do genuinely believe this. Like you said, you rule by division of the masses.
Right.
That's how you do it. Instead of and it works. They've been doing it for thousands of years.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. You make everyone hate each other while the
But guess where that comes from? Guess where that comes from, though? That's the media.
Oh no, I know
that's the media. The key to all this is media.
Absolutely.
You see it on TV, you believe it.
Absolutely.
Think about me. I'm not caught in the matrix.
Yeah.
The people around me not caught in the matrix.
Yep.
Matrix is real for y'all who don't know. It's the brainwashed mind state. When will you learn?
Yeah.
So you got to get up out of that. So at the end of the day, we being preyed upon from different angles. So it's through media, the stuff that you buy, stuff that you eat sometimes, and what you got to do as a person. You just got to find out who you are and know who you are, and that right, which makes you be able to get out here and just say, "Hey, I'm gonna deal with people based upon how they treat me, not how I think they are."
And I want to piggyback on that. I think sometimes we forget, like, a lot of people like to say that, I don't see color, and I think that's the wrong approach. You know what I'm saying? I think we have to acknowledge the differences in America. I'm proud to be a black dude, and I'm proud that my friends who are white, they're proud to be white. But to socially accept each other, we got to understand that the issues that we've had in America, especially when it comes to minorities in this country, and we have to be true to the reality of the existence of what we've gone through as a people, and to ignore it or to say that it never happened or it didn't exist, it's a form of disrespect, because there's still a high means of inequality in this country, and we have to acknowledge that on many levels to even continue to grow in a unified state. And until we get there, we always going to have the division.
Yeah. Right.
And that's something that we're looking to eliminate. And Prey kind of deals with that.
Exactly.
It deals with that.
Does your show, and if this is giving out a spoiler or something you don't want to say, I understand that because you don't want to spoil the show. But does it center around certain characters week to week, or certain characters show to show, I should say, instead of week to week?
Primary characters.
Okay.
Primary characters. We introduce some characters in and out, of course, to introduce different storylines from episode to episode, but there's characters that you're following and they're developing. You're getting to know the inside of who they are, and sometimes what you may consider to be a protagonist may be the antagonist, and that's where the confusion may come in, but that's when it gets deep.
Now, does this show kind of just subtly hint at the idea of deep corruption in government, or does it directly talk about, are we talking Illuminati stuff here, or are we talking...
Illuminati everything. Got my mind, soul, and my body. Secret of society, trying to keep their eye on me.
I think Prey touches many institutions, and that corruption touches those institutions. It's the family institution, political institution, religious institution, educational. I think we touch basically almost every institution of society, and how that corruption filters into those in those institutions, and how it affects everyone from the elite all the way down to the little thug in the hood. I think we show that connection.
Right on. Cool. When can we look forward to the next episode?
We're looking to drop that next Wednesday. Be looking out on that episode too. It's pretty dope, though.
Yeah, 2 coming soon, and 2
Episode 2.
it's gonna
Trying to get Cuff
Wednesday at 8.
trying to get Cuff to do the video and bring this gentleman gang video to the parade. They playing around. We gotta get the video popping off so that we can actually have it like the deep cover theme. So I'm gonna put this on air so he can get to working on it so that we can bring this light. So I gotta plug that right quick.
Schedule is on 20, but we're gonna make that happen.
We got to make it happen. He said schedule on 20. It's 4 hours left in the day, so that means we got 4 hours to get that done. Appreciate you, bro.
Do you guys have a set number of episodes? Are you gonna have like a season, like season 1, or are you just kind of making shows right now?
Well, there's a plan behind the movement of what we're doing. We're looking to have 8 episodes as of one season, but we're only going to shoot 4 right now and then do a pause for the most part. And the reason why is we're trying to get the backing.
Right on.
Because everything is pretty much pro bono, or we're on little to zero budget. And we have some very talented cats who are doing this full time and they're working hard on it. And then on top of it, we're getting some feedback from the big guys and trying to get that picked up. And so that will give us an opportunity to get some names involved for the next 4 episodes. And that's what we're trying to do.
You know, so we got my man. We got to talk about my man DJ Cage. He just hit me up, so he said he ready to talk to us soon.
Are we ready, Nick, or do we have to wait?
We got to wait for him. I told him to hit him up at 9:35, so he might be ready though.
If he wants to go right now, if not, we can move to something else. What's up?
Yeah, you know what? Let's give him a call. Let's give him DJ Cage a call. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Right on.
How y'all doing out there in radio land, podcast land? Hope they doing good, because I'm really doing good. I'm sipping on this 17 right now.
we got Adam Bump back in here. 17. He's setting it all up. We got DJ Cage calling in a little bit.
Adam, they told me you was Mexican, man. That's what they told me, man.
Half. Adam Hernandez, man. I mean, come on.
Adam Hernandez. Dude, you sound like a baseball pitcher. 100 miles an hour.
I played ball with him back in the day.
He got the A's hat on. You know what I'm saying? We used to rock those back in the hood. I'm talking about Freedom State. What's up? We used to rock those. I used to rock the A's jersey with the A's with the green and yellow. What's the
A's? Jose Canseco.
Supersonics.
No, Jose Canseco. Jose Canseco, man. Y'all was perfect.
Kemp. Oh, I used to rock the Kemps. That's exactly what it is. Shout out to
about the shoes?
The shoes. Were you on Freedom State Wood? Tell the gang in the building right now.
Were you a Jose Canseco guy back in the day? Because me and Nick used to fight about this. I like Mark McGuire and Ricky Henderson.
Oh, man. Mark McGuire.
Yeah. But I'm talking pre-Royd. Pre-Royd McGuire.
Well,
on the A's.
I was a Canseco guy because we didn't have Ricky Henderson jerseys in the hood.
I cannot remember his name, and forgive me for this, but he hit the home run in his old age. He's Tigers.
Kirk Gibson.
Kirk Gibson. That's my guy. That's my guy.
Kirk put that bitch in the third level.
It was classic. That was a classic.
Left hand.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
You remember those days? See, I'm old school. Old school.
Shout out to Ernie Harwell. Rest in peace. That was my guy.
Ernie Harwell?
I used to watch the games with my granddad, and his voice, man, was impeccable. It can't be replaced.
My father roofed his house.
For real?
Yeah, he did.
That's what's up.
Construction?
Yeah.
Okay, now how much we got to pay you to get there? We got some projects on deck right now.
I'll get you a card.
Okay, let's do that. Let's get this money.
No, my dad roofed Ernie Harwell's house back in the day.
Okay.
He's a great guy. He said he brought him into his kitchen and they just talked for hours afterwards.
Cage up?
Yeah, so how are we supposed to do this? We got to call my man Cage. So what we need to do?
No, he's got to call.
You got to call us? Yep. Okay, I'm doing something right now. I'm gonna make Cage call us right now. And
we'll give you the phone number.
It's the phone number. Right?
All right. So Cage got to call us.
He kind of slow when it comes to the technical stuff.
I'm horrible with technology. I'm still stuck in the Stone Age.
You know, he put those headphones on. He turned into a whole nother beast.
You could call him on your phone, but nobody'd hear him. He just just have a conversation.
Because if you're dealing with me,
we'd be able to hear him.
Yeah, we'd be able to hear. That's true. We could pipe him in.
Shout out to Freedom State Wood back over there chilling. That's the young blood. That's the new breed here. When I heard this guy, I knew that this guy has something special.
Oh yeah.
And that's just my ear. I'm very fickle.
And he's going to be on your compilation later.
He's gonna,
he's gonna be on the
He's gonna be on the compilation.
Adams Theater. You know, if any of you old school cats, y'all got to know what the Adams Theater is.
Right.
Adams Theater, downtown Detroit.
Downtown Detroit. You could go down there and see karate flicks and shit.
If you don't know about the Adams Theater, you know Tougher Than Leather. Run DMC movie showed there. They shot that movie up though. They shot it up, man. I was there when they shot the shooting there.
Yeah.
So I'm just letting you know that's the Adams Theater. That's the groundwork.
That's the downtown though. But see, I mean, that for the sake
Not
of
that we glorifying that. We just saying that
Right.
you know, that's just the history of you know, Adams Theater. You know, it
I
was
mean,
one of
that
those places.
shit goes down in the hood though, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like we had a neighborhood theater on the east side. We called it the East Town. You know, and you know, you rock fans, y'all might know about what is that, Harpo's.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
So IROC. Yeah, IROC. IROC's still alive, ain't it? I think IROC is still alive.
Yeah, Epochs back in the day, that was a pretty rough place.
Harpo's, man, you can go in there and get the
Nick,
stiffest.
you been to
You can go to Harpo's and get the
Yeah, I've
stiffest
been to
fucking
Harpo's.
drink ever.
Nick been to Harpo. Nick, what's your favorite strip club? Because I don't do strip clubs that
Timbo's.
well. So I gotta find out.
The
Nick,
Tip Top.
he trying to be
Timbo's,
silent over
baby,
here. Tell us
Timbo's.
what it is.
Honestly, I don't do strip clubs either.
Right, I don't
Nick
know
say he
about
does
I
not do
don't
strip
know.
clubs, and I don't either. So
Strip clubs are my thing. I don't like strip clubs for the same reason I don't like cooking shows.
because you
on
can't eat the
TV.
food, you can't
Right,
sample the
right,
product.
Right. Like, why do I want to look? Why do I want to just?
You heard me. You can't eat the food.
Why, yeah. So why do I want to spend an hour looking at this if I can't have it? That's my thing. So,
I just had that conversation with a friend of mine earlier. Like, I don't. She said, "Have you matured?" I was like, "I never really liked the strip clubs. I would always play the background."
that's
You know,
what I just told you is my public reason for not liking strip clubs. Do you know what my real reason for not liking strip clubs is? I'm a broke idiot. That shit is expensive as hell.
That's
Who
me
can
too.
afford that, man? I would like to think, in my dream world,
Uh-huh.
this is my dream world.
Okay,
I would
listen.
like to think that if I could afford to hang out at a strip club, that I could afford to get a real girl.
right? So, hey,
If I had that kind of cash to walk into, like, I feel like I could walk
so
into
check
like
this out.
a cool bar and be like, "Hey, what's
I'm
up,
like
girl?
the
How you
greatest
doing?"
storyteller ever. You know, so when we have downtime in the studio, I'm telling these crazy stories or whatever. So speaking of strip clubs, I was in North Carolina.
I think Cage calling us now.
Oh, Cage is calling.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Damn, I
I
gotta
got
hear
tell
this
my
story.
story.
We gotta hear
We
this
got to
story.
hold that story because Cage is calling us, y'all. DJ Cage.
Can you
He's
hear
part
us?
of the Prey Project and everything.
DJ Cage, you're on the XCast with Josh and Nick and a whole bunch of other people. All right, can you hear us?
You there, Cage?
We lose him.
Hello?
Hey,
There he is.
Cage. This is Josh and Nick on the XCast. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
Oh man, we're doing great. We got a whole slew of people in here. We're having a blast.
I
And-
think I saw a little stream of Anthony Cuffey's podcast, so I have a slight idea. It looks live in there right now.
It does. The problem is we keep talking to all these guys in here, and every 5 seconds your name comes up. So we thought we need to get you on the phone.
That sounds good.
Hey man, tell us about your new project. I know you got your newest compilation coming out. Tell us about it, please.
Which one are we talking about, Grant? D Imports.
D Imports.
Volume 2?
Yeah,
Yes,
the Unfortunate
yes, sir.
Volume 2.
Yeah, D Imports Volume 2. Yeah, well, that's Volume 2 in a series of mixtapes I've been putting out where I try to feature as many of the best artists in Detroit, you know, over, of course, being one of the best producers out of Detroit. And so what better, you know, two combinations. You know, it's one thing to be a dope producer, but you got to have that fifth element, you know, especially with hip-hop, you got to have dope artists.
That's
and
the
I've been
Aries
blessed
talk.
to, you know, and I've been blessed to work around and be involved with some of the best artists, you know what I'm saying, including, you know, such fellas as the Gentleman Gang and, you know, Khalil and you know, Chevy Van Dyke, and, you know, so I've been blessed to be around people such as those, you know.
How long you been on the scene in Detroit?
You know, forever.
DJ Cage, the techno guy. He's from the techno scene.
Yes, I
Oh,
started
really?
out when I first started DJing. I started with one of my earliest first mentors was DJ Polo, and so I used to DJ on the east side, like a club Rado for Ray O'Shea at the Rado Lounge.
Ray O'Shea, shout out
You know,
to Ray
no
O'Shea.
longer exists. Yeah. And so then, of course, went away to college where I, you know, pretty much DJ'd my way through school, and then up in there is where I picked up producing. And then when I came back to Detroit, you know, mainly stuck to the producing side of things for a while. And, DJing was one thing, put yourself through school with it. But after that, you're working a full-time job plus producing, carrying all those crates from place to place. Kind of took a break on that. But now it's a lot easier with, of course, new technology and, just having everything in your hard drive and stuff. So now you catch me back out a lot later, So it's all good.
All right.
But yeah, the project features probably 36 artists in Detroit, over 27 tracks. So it's a pretty ambitious project, at least.
I haven't heard it yet, but I was just reading the reviews, and not a negative word out there for D Imports Volume 2. I mean, I'm just hearing nothing but praise for it. Was there an overall goal of how you wanted this new release to kind of? I know with compilations, sometimes there's a theme, if you will. So was there a way you wanted this release to meld together, or were you just looking for the best possible songs for the album?
Mainly trying to promote like the artists who I feel like, especially currently, who are really going hard and doing a lot of work, especially in the circles that I've been, as far as still pushing their own music independently already, which is a great start. But then there's certain avenues for people. I feel like this project's also an avenue for people who haven't necessarily had an avenue to shine, or haven't found a way to like really break through, to at least a certain level. Not to say that I'm at the highest level. I'm still trying to reach through certain glass ceilings as it goes myself. But I seem to be doing quite well lately and having a good run, and so trying to also create exposure as much for myself as I am for the people who I'm working with, and also as far as the tone of the project. Which I try to mix it, because the thing is, especially with hip hop, I feel like, the thing that as far as promoted is the lack of balance. That hip hop encompasses, all types of stories and ways to, do that and type of topics and content. And so why not show that breadth of it instead of just being focused on one thing, which is kind of a narrow-minded focus. So I try to, have as many artists that are different from each other as my production for my beats are as well. I feel like there's just one song that's different from the next, so why not showcase that in the artist that I think.
Forgive my ignorance if this is wrong, but I assume there was a Volume 1. Is this one topic?
Yes, absolutely. That one featured about
no doubt.
Volume 1. Volume 1 featured about 32 artists, and there's probably only about 4 or 5 artists that were on Volume 1 that are now on Volume 2 as well. So again, probably like 50 artists just within the last year and a half from project to project.
The Gentleman
Just for those two projects.
Gentleman Gang didn't make the first cut because we was I was stuck in sleep. I didn't understand what I was going to do with this music thing no more, but Cage woke me up. So I'm back in the game.
That's a hell of a story in and of itself.
It is. It's really a story
of how we ended up on
D Imports Volume 2.
That's a hell of a story in and of itself, because it was like, he just turned to me one day like, yo, we got to get on that shit.
Exactly.
He was like at his house fucking wasted.
I said, we got to get on that shit right now. He said,
he
said, get on what? I said, we getting on Cage. I'm about to call him right now. He said, call him right now. Cage said, man, if y'all got something dope, it's dope. If it's not dope, it ain't making an album. I said, all right, man, we got you.
So when he hangs up from him, he says, yo, we got to bring that fucking fire. Like
I said, Cage don't believe we still got it. We old cats in the game. But the love has been there. Cage has been very supportive to us. We got nothing but love for him on everything.
Behind every great success is a great drunk story.
Yeah.
No, for real. Like, I'm not. I don't want to sound like no Lush, but every time I touch a studio, I gotta have something. But
I can remember like being like standing like in his hallway when he says we gotta do this, and like on fucking Grand Theft Auto when you get murked or some shit, it's like wasted. I'm like, this motherfucker's wasted right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, all right, bro. It's always my response to him is always, yeah, all right, bro. We
gonna move it though. We gotta move it.
And we go in, and Cage was very gracious in his talents.
Hey, Cage, you know what we got to say? Cage got a show coming up soon, so you guys might want to pub that.
Yeah, actually, when I asked you, hey, this new album coming out, you were like, oh, which one? So between
he's still
between he moving like that. That's DJ Cage.
Cage don't stop moving.
So between this thing Khalil's talking about, what other projects can we find your fingerprints on?
Well, the other thing that recently blew up just a couple months ago is I also put up this mixtape series called Random Remix, where I make a bunch of beats. And so my instrumentals where I mix random acapellas from random artists. Sometimes you'll get a song that has starts out with David Lee Roth, leads into a Jay-Z verse, back to David Lee Roth doing a hook or something like that, all in the same song. And so in this one particular volume, I put out volume 3, when there was a certain presidential nominee running through town. He had a little verbal flub, and I sampled that, put that out, and that ended up blowing up everywhere. That was on like Fader, Paper, Hack Magazine. It was crazy, but I don't want to mention it right now. But the next thing I'm working on right now is called the Grand Design Volume 2, featuring Mike Phelps, who's another artist out of Detroit that is really doing this thing.
Shout out to Mike Phelps, man. You dope, bro.
Yeah, Mike Phelps is super dope.
Dude
Absolutely.
can
We
swim
just had
too.
the listener session at the
Different guy.
That's his brother.
He can actually swim really good.
We're talking about MIC Phelps, not that other.
I'm sorry, I just-
not the gold medal.
That's all good. Michael Phelps in the building. Shout out to you, big
Yeah. So we just had the listener session at Nick's Bricktown last night. And it was a pretty good success, nice and intimate. But the big show is coming December 30th at the Tangent Art Gallery. Make sure to be there for that, for Grand Design 2 at the Tangent Art Gallery, December 30th.
All right, we're going to get some of that info too and put it up on our site too, because
That'd be nice. Nice.
yeah, no, we got to do that for sure. Well, I mean, I'm not talking what's next tomorrow, but what's next for DJ Cage? You know, what's the? Is there a volume 3 in the future? Is there, what's going to be the next big thing on the horizon?
Well, it seems to be I seem to have like a cycle going where I'll do like a D Imports volume, then I put out a random remix, and then I'll do like a couple artists, that I work on solo wise, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And there's a couple of artists that I'm in the middle of doing full time production with, and and I'm mastering a couple projects, like for Pierre Anthony mastering his work that he just did, and Fidel Caz has a new project coming out called El Jefe, and so all these are just beats and production I do for multiple artists. But yeah, D Imports Volume 3 will eventually get back into the rotation, and that's something that I definitely see myself putting the work into, because that's a fun series to work on, and I've definitely
Cage
got a lot of energy for it.
DJ Cage, he's also working on the Gentleman Gangs project for the Adams Theater. So we in the lab right now doing that. Actually, probably be in the lab Saturday, knocking out some stuff. So thank you for that love, DJ Cage. We appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. Just like I'm sure y'all already talked about it. The song that y'all did for the miniseries for Prey.
Oh, we talked about Prey.
Yeah, they actually played it.
Okay.
We played it for the listeners, and we didn't give a shout out to Blake Carrington. I brought it. So actually, I sent it over to Josh, so he can put that up if he need be, because Blake Carrington is one of the records off D Imports Volume 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find that djcage.bandcamp.com. Cage with a K. djcage.bandcamp.com.
The official record release December 30th, correct?
Yeah, the official record release for Grand Design 2 featuring Mike Phelps and production by DJ Cage. December 30th. The album will be released on January 1st at granddesign.detroit.bandcamp.com.
All right.
Thank you. DJ Cage, we appreciate it. I could talk to you all night, but we got a whole bunch of people in this studio that we want to get to.
Hey, Cage, Wingstop this week, man. I got you, bro.
Yeah, for sure. You know where I'm at.
Right on.
Right,
hey,
y'all
DJ Cage.
have fun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, man. We'll talk.
Yeah.
I hope we talk to you again.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Sounds
bro.
good. Bye.
We got the song going right now.
Oh yeah, that's that Prey joint. That's the Blake Carrington. I sent it to Josh. I sent Blake Carrington out to Josh.
Is that this?
No, that's not. That's Prey. You got the
okay.
Blake Carrington joint. I can see your email.
Yeah.
You got to load that up to your email.
Can we give him? Can you link it to him?
The most untechnical guy in the planet. You talking about link it to him? I send it to your email. It's on your email.
Can I send it to your email?
No, this song is called Blake Carrington. That's off the D Imports album.
Well, while we're going, I'll forward it to Nick.
Okay, that's a bet. You know what? I want to bring my young dog to the set, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
Freedom State Wood, because he the next generation. I want him to get up here and talk about what he got going on, and we're gonna bring him a part of the Adams Theater project because we like him. My girl pulled me in the kitchen to tell me I like him. that means we liking. Because my woman, she like to justify everything. Anybody that got a wife, y'all know what I'm talking about, because they gonna say, hey, I ain't feeling him. She said, I'm feeling him. He seemed like a good dude. So that's what's up.
That's something. That is big.
I'm gonna say this though, Wood has the best studio sessions ever. Wood has the most best studio sessions ever.
The most best. That's
the
when
mostest.
that's that 1738 right there. Wood. Get on this mic, man. Tell them what you're
so
about,
what's up?
bro.
Freedom Say What? How you doing,
Freedom
man?
Say
Welcome to
What,
the
man.
X.
What's up, world?
Welcome to the Xcast.
I want to welcome y'all to me. Oh no. I appreciate that welcome, man. Hey,
Heard a lot about you. Tell us from right from you though.
well, I come from Midtown area, man. Freedom State, right by Wayne State. I grew up, man, down there, man, and I really try to capture inside of the music and try to give you an insight of where we're from and who we are. It's coming back. They got the Pistons coming back to Midtown now, so everybody's excited about that. You got the Slow Roll. We got a lot of stuff that's originating from down there now, man, and it's getting really big. I've been at it for the longest, but what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger than where we are. So I just want to represent the whole Midtown and the whole downtown, the comeback. I see everything's coming back around, so
It is too.
I'm really digging that. I'm really digging that we getting that spotlight. So
You got a project coming up with Khalil too, correct?
yeah, I'm gonna be a part of that project. The same project. Well, Adam's Theater. I'm on the Adam's Theater project. I got a couple joints on there. I'm gonna be a part of 2 joints on there. Also got a solo project coming out, Bias Mentality.
Right on.
So that's gonna be dope.
Is there any links to anything with that yet?
Yeah,
We can-
you can find me at freedomstatewood.com. Go in and add yourself to the mailing list, and you can be updated on every update we get. So the free music, all that good stuff. You can get links to all that good stuff. So add yourself at www.freedomstatewood.com.
All right, cool. We'll put a link up to that on our site
dope.
too.
Also on Instagram at Freedom State Wood, Facebook at Freedom State Wood. Snapchat at Bias Mentality. So you guys can find me online on those websites, on those links.
Right on. Hey, we're gonna come back with Freedom State Wood in a minute, but we're gonna play that Blake Carrington track, right, Nick? Yeah. Okay. You looked at me funny for a second.
Not every single.
But you got this. Get close to the mic and knock it out. You're Johnson. Come on, show me just do what you know. We're gonna start it. Ready? Fresh. I like the 80s on this, rocking the Manny Goats and stuff fly. The black Frank Sinatra, don't get your ass body like Hoffa. Fucking with me, family, yo, big casa. Movie script actors, really all in pasta. Running like your mom, we overseas, chilling, eating lobster. Dreaming, thinking about higher heights, turning those dreams to life. Buckets of women, yo, nice celebrating. Let's continue the celebration. Fresh, could you imagine all your niggas pulling up in fly whips? Lock clothes, I change, paid off cribs, investments and stock, all money for the kids. I'm talking about wealth, I'm talking black ownership. Sheikh Muhammad Ali, I'm Moody, big money. The real Blake Carrington of this shit. Fresh, you flows, timeless. I'm reminded of kings and queens, the dynasty regime. Blake Carrington. Blake Carrington. Big money. Blake Carrington. Diamonds, platinum, silver, gold. Blake Carrington. You know what the letters is. You know what we talking about.
Rockin' Bo Diddy, endorse the brain. Polo shop hours drop 9 or 10 grain. That D-boy flexes in my DNA strains. These bum niggas ain't hip, can't even understand. Afghani has Detroit, be in Japan. My Adidas touch them blocks that them OGs ran. Flagrantly I'm wearing, hope the guard a nigga fold. Bitch niggas hate me cause I do it so cold. Catch me in traffic with that bullshit you on. I know bread when I see it, and that ain't you home. Been exposed to old money. be found amongst killers. Told keep that thrillers, whole niggas will kill ya. Heavy as the crown, I swear I feel ya. I stay on vacation in the coldest fucking villas. Parlay with King about this thing the money bring. Trying to build a dynasty, my whole fucking team play characters. Play Carrington, big money.
We talk about
Play Carrington, diamonds, platinum, silver, gold. Play Carrington. You know what's embarrassing.
you know what we talk about.
Money. Fresh. New backpack. Fresh. Money.
Loving it, man. Loving it. General, I'm loving these songs. Do you know what else I'm loving, Nick?
What?
It must be cool to be like a DJ where you get to like play songs and just
No, I
listen to
know.
them.
No kidding.
You know, and not have to just talk your whole way through your radio
You
show.
know, that's a hell of an idea for the next evolution.
Yeah, I'm
of your podcast.
I'm feeling that.
It sure. I look at it this way too. It's a lot easier because I don't have to. You know, it's like 20 minutes extra that I don't have to talk. And for the viewer, the listener at home, it's 20 minutes extra. They don't have to listen to me talk.
Exactly. They're not listening to us.
Win-win.
But the
Absolutely.
only problem is finding people who have good music who
Yeah,
will let
I
us
know.
play it and not sue us.
Yeah.
Because
I'll let you play mine.
we got in some trouble a little while ago about we
new theme song because
yeah
for whatever reason they didn't. Pink Floyd didn't like us playing their
Oh
song.
my goodness! I mean, I hear like that they
Play
have.
our music all day.
yeah
I hear
right
that they
on.
have
We
like people
appreciate
that like really monitor, you know, those
Yeah.
types of
And
things.
isn't it odd? Like,
Yeah.
which is we always thought it was a plus.
Yeah, it's a badge of honor.
Yeah, we were like, man, we got busted. That's
like
cool.
that.
Someone in Pink Floyd's camp was listening. to
Right,
us.
yeah, exactly. When someone gets you in trouble, you're like, oh, they were listening.
So check this
Right
out.
on.
We are
Yo.
like '90s hip hop guys. So you know, we went through that phase where you had the old school artists who were being sampled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the argument was always, you know, hey, we're bringing you back to, you're relevant again. You know,
Right.
I mean, because guys like me, when I heard those old school samples that they used, I went back and I wanted to hear the original.
Yeah, you listened.
You know,
You
So,
you wouldn't have listened otherwise.
man, you know,
I was
who
born
was
2
this
years
guy?
before the 90s, so.
But that's all right,
Oh,
though.
man.
You know,
my God.
you know, they say like, you know,
People this young should not be allowed.
I
here.
know. Oh my god, I feel
I mean,
old.
No drinks allowed.
fucking young
Think
guy.
Hey, you old enough to drink that beer, man?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Fucking
hey,
young-
hey, look, you know they got
fucking
us,
young
they're
guy.
monitoring us. Look. The FCC.
Yeah, so you know, another ironic story is like when we did Pray, like Cuff, you know, and I understand Cuff is like, you know, making sure he doesn't catch the backlash of it, but he's
Right.
like, you produced this, right? It was like, yeah, he was like very technical in his approach. Like, you produced this, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, so you used a sample, right? I was like, yeah. And he was like, so we aren't going to get sued, right? And I was like, nah. If they figure out that that's a sample behind all of that other stuff, then, you know, they might deserve the couple of coins that
Right,
they get. You know,
right.
you know.
No, and that is a good point, and I can understand that. You know, I get the concept. You made the music; it's your music. But I'm with you, especially. It still happens to me to this day when I listen to. I mean, I grew up listening to classic rock because of my parents. You know,
Mhm.
so when I was a teenager, you know, I started listening to Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Al Green. And ever since then, I've been just drawn to old soul, old R&B. And when I listen to a lot of it, especially a lot of Stevie Wonder, it's unreal how much of that was used.
Mhm.
And so when I hear these old songs, I've heard the hip hop versions of them without realizing they were old songs. And so when you come across it, I understand where they're coming from, but it does make them relevant again.
It
Which
makes them
has to be huge.
It makes them relevant, but at the same time, too, what the artists, you know, I think that they should consider is that we grew up on those songs too. Like, you know, you mentioned Stevie Wonder and a lot of those artists. when I was at home and I'd get my ass whooped or something, get in trouble, I'd have to stay in my room and listen to my mom play Stevie Wonder and Luther Vandross and all these other artists over and over and over again on repeat. So
That doesn't sound like a punishment, man.
You think of it now, Chevy.
Nice.
The relevance now is meaning a lot more, though. You think about YouTube, and you think about all these monetary streams that they get. Those guys going to click those actual links for those actual songs. It's creating dollar. It's really it's not hurting. You know what I mean? So for people to find those songs and they're looking for them, okay, now we're gonna click and click and click for those songs. They're gonna make more money on the back end. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
So for me as an artist, I as a more mature artist now, I kind of get it. There's an old Pete Rock and CL Smooth song. If you guys aren't familiar, you might YouTube it one day, but it's a song called "Straighten It Out," where they address the conflict between the newer artists and the artists that were being sampled. And, one of the lines was, believe me, we know, that, you guys are struggling right now. Here's another sample clear, see you get the hell out of here. Like a bootleg, you over for the year, So it's like, they actually knew, okay, we sampled you, but for you guys to hound us for a 4-second chop and you want a portion of the royalties, come on, man, that's a little bit, that's a little egregious. But you turn around and here it is, these same guys, they don't want guys bootlegging their stuff on 125 on 125th Street. You see the guy, you ready to jump the bootlegger in the street. So you essentially done the same thing, so it kind of addressed the issue where, you look at it and you say, okay, as an older artist, I see it now because if somebody samples some Gentleman Gang stuff or somebody bootlegged it or just, pulled it off of the internet somewhere, I think I would have a little bit of an issue with that. So it's still a conflict like 25, 30 years later.
No, you can see it. And when you see, I think there's a issue where we look at people that made it. We look at people that are rich. We look at people that did that, and we instantly want to think, what are they bitching about?
Yeah.
Like, what are they bitching about? They made it. They're rich. Who cares?
What
are you complaining about? But they did make it there.
You think of some
and
of these
they
guys,
didn't make it there because they were lucky.
Exactly.
They made it there because they worked hard. They made it there because they're there.
No doubt.
So then, and sometimes you got a point, and then sometimes you wake up one day and you're Courtney Love and you're in a record store screaming that my kids got to eat too, and you're and you're ripping bootlegs off the wall and shit. You hope you don't make it to that point.
Yeah.
But
they gotta pay the pool boy.
At the same time, you get it though. There's a little part of you that, they're like, all right, cut it out, Courtney Love.
Gotta pay the pool boy.
But Chevy though, I'm just asking though, don't you want guys to sample your music though? Like, don't you kind of want?
It would be a badge of honor if somebody took my vocals and maybe used it in a hook.
Would it be more of a badge of honor if they took your stuff and then paid you?
That would be like a great honor. Some of these motherfuckers don't want to pay though. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. They don't want to pay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
You riding down the street and somebody like, I
heard
it's
you
the
on the radio
Gentleman Gang, And you like, wait a minute, whoa, I thought we were the Gentleman Gang.
All right, so Freedom State Wood. I guess
back to me.
Yeah, we're back to you because I want to know. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
You want to know how he gets such a long?
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Yeah.
Long and luscious
I'm going to put you on the spot because all I heard about is, okay, you're going to be the man, you're going to be the best. So, all right, so you're Luke Skywalker. All right, I got that. Who's Yoda? Is it Chevy? Is it Khalil? Who's the Jedi Master that trained you? Or are you your own man?
How I go. I was going to say, I was thinking about Dark Skywalker. So Luke Skywalker. No, but listen though, when they told me I was coming to the radio show, they was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be like the Breakfast Club." I don't know if you guys remember. It's gonna be like the Breakfast Club. I'm trying to figure out who's Charlamagne and who's Angela Yee. I'm like, shit, this is gonna be hard. I'm like, this show is gonna be hard on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking y'all gonna beat me down. So I guess I met Charlamagne. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead and drill me. Go ahead. I know it's gonna be. You gonna beat me up? Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, who's. What have you learned is what I'm really. What have you learned from these guys?
From these guys, man, they taught me so much, man. Like I learned so much about even as far as just how to record the music, how to bring the music to a commercial level and to be how do you say stage ready, ready for the big shows, the big concerts, how to think bigger on the songs. You have concepts, you have you have these ideas that you want to present, but how do you present them to the masses and make them accept those ideas and create those songs that last for the generations and the songs that become samples
Right.
and things like that, things of that nature, so they taught me so much, man. I mean, just it's been an honor working with them, you know what I mean? Just to be able to pick up the phone and call them and to receive certain advices and different lectures and all these different things.
Because we lecture.
You guys lecture. I love when they drink and they lecture because they're gonna give you the
We
business.
give it up. But here's the thing too, like, it's you get a lot of guys with the like Cage touched on earlier with the availability of the technology now. So you get guys and it's like, microwave pop, bing, we can do this. Like, so but what's lost in that translation is the actual care. It's almost like an analogy of from a technical aspect of you have these microwave moms out here with, you can go and buy boxed potatoes, but the old school mom used to go buy real potatoes and put fucking pet milk in the shit and real fucking butter, right? So the shit is going to stick to you a lot better, and it's not going to fuck your system up with all this glucose and all that other shit.
I think that's such a great analogy. Do you know why I think it's a great analogy? Because it's so true when things are easier to do now.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, look at us. We're just on the radio. Boom. It's like, it's easy.
You guys are good.
Oh, thank you. But, it's so easy to do it. But
As far as recording as well, the
right.
food, microwave.
But when you look at that analogy you said about, okay, now anyone can make those potatoes when they used to make them from scratch back in the day. But the thing is, can't you still tell the difference?
You can absolutely tell.
when you dive in, when you eat it, and when you listen to it,
Immediately.
you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference between the person that cares.
I think you guys just
person
gave me
that-
my moniker, though. I think I'm going to call myself the difference from now on. The difference. I'm the difference. I'm the difference maker, man. I'm like division, man. I'm like
Right on.
multiplication and division. I'm the difference, man.
You
I'm
can,
what
you
get
can
left.
you can sample that for free.
I'm dope.
He won't ever forget you. But the thing about that too is like, that goes to, when we work as the Gentleman Gang, we are this guy in the studio. I equate him to like Puffy. You might have seen the videos where he's like, "That's not fucking it." Nah. Man, we've literally done verses to the point where both of us were hoarse. And then we have to leave the studio and we have to come back another day because we both have this quest for perfection.
It's a thing called recognizing your potential. Like with Chevy Van Dyke, he's a producer first. This guy get in there and make beats, and he'll come over my house and he'll say, "Hey, I got a beat for you. It's okay." And I listen to the beat like, okay, the beat from Prey. Now, if y'all out there listening, that's a beat. That's a hip hop track. The real hip hop head should be vibing to that. It's okay to him because he's in his mind like, I just did that.
Yeah.
But he not even thinking about that because this guy's at school doing urban regional studies, criminal justice. That's what he does in his daily routine. So now he's getting educated. So that's the beat making is his side project. So I'm telling him like, dude, you're talented. You got to really focus on your talent. So he's sitting there saying, man, all right, man, I'm going to do it. So at the end of the day, sometimes we don't realize our potential, but you got to jump off that cliff. So if you don't get nothing out this podcast from us tonight, jump off the fucking cliff. Parachute none. You don't even need a parachute because guess what? If you got God in you, you're going to fly regardless. So therefore you're going to land on your feet. So that's what we're really trying to say. Just jump off the cliff. Like we ain't got it all together. We working to get it together. But it's people out there like you guys that's going to make us get it together because y'all listening. Y'all can support us. We'll support you guys back. And at the end of the day, we all shine. If we all shine, everything going to be okay.
Hey, and we should say too, we played the track, Blake Carrington, but we did kind of skim over it.
Okay.
We did kind of skim over it a little bit just because we played it, so it spoke
you don't
for
even
itself.
Have to play it. I spit live on radio. I'm gonna show y'all what we do. This This is Lil Yo, baby. Step up on the scene, I drive the whole world crazy. Top notch, nigga roll, still getting bigger though. Yeah, everybody said I sound like Ja Rule back in the day. Let me tell you something. Ja Rule was after me. I was before Ja Rule. I'm 41 on the mic still spitting. Still look like I'm 10. Nah, psych. I'm about 22, maybe 33.
According to Metro Times, according to their site, that Blake Carrington's one of the top downloads.
Yeah, it is. Blake Carrington was one of the top downloads, and you know what's surprising? We actually did Blake Carrington. We didn't even know we was going.
Right.
I mean, it was just like, okay, let's do the record.
Well, Cage sent that over to him.
Yeah.
And I think he sent it by mistake because it was still in the formation stages.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And I was like, you did not send that fucking song to them. But he was like, no, it's good because they want to hear it now.
Right
So,
on.
you know, whoever heard it over there, shout out to whoever heard it over there. Because
Jeff Milo, my man Jeff Milo.
Shout out to Jeff Milo.
Jeff Milo.
Dynasty too, man.
Yeah, Jeff Milo.
Dynasty references, gotta love that.
Oh yeah, man, Blake Carrington, man.
Yeah.
God bless the dead. The guy who I forgot his name, John Forsythe. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the thing about it is like,
I love that. When I saw the title, I was like,
you know what? Y'all got to really listen to the lyrics because I say something on that.
to know that.
I say on that verse.
Fairly old enough.
I say Sheikh.
Yeah, I'm old.
I say on that verse. I say something about a guy named Sheikh Muhammad Ali Al-Moody, the real Blake Carrington of the shit. Now Sheikh Muhammad Ali Al-Moody, he's over there overseas, man. I mean, I don't know what country. I can't remember off the top of my head because I've been drinking right now. But this guy had oil, so I put the reference in the record as the real guy who bust that oil out. So that means for you rappers out there, when y'all dropping y'all lyrics, do some research.
right, do your research.
Wikipedia is your friend, sir.
Yeah, Google your verses.
When you do the Wikipedia, use the sources that's coming from the University of Michigan.
Right. No, you are absolutely
Now,
right.
Nick got some beats on it. Nick, go through those beats real quick. I don't know which one.
Scroll to the bottom of that Wikipedia page.
I'm gonna do this off the top. I'm gonna do this like fucking feelings. I'm gonna show y'all how we do this, man.
All right, right on. Let's do this.
I need my campaign hat though.
Yeah,
I gotta feel really nice.
There's your crown, G. Rock your fucking crown, G.
I need my headphones on to do this. Oh man.
Yeah, you're gonna want that.
Go to the next beat. Let me see. Let me find a beat for y'all.
We won't tell anybody you're not wearing your hat.
Can they hear me? Can they hear me live out there? Next beat. That ain't the beat I want to do.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat.
You know?
Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, natty ghosts, Beelers, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody gets shot. Working a hustle and to get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking in the Adams Theater. Watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at bar's crib. Eat a funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. I used to ride my bike downtown the war. Never depended on moms or no one. I had to do it on my own. Caught the bus and swoop up. The latest team started jacket to match with the blue and gray Hoya hat. But got rushed for all of that by some Wilbur Wright dudes. They checked me in right in front of the school. Got my first dookie rope from Tiff. I felt I was the man. A freshman with a singer in hand. See, I was fly, but these lanes cross swag down. No tight jeans and my pants don't sag down. I remember when men were men. Born alone, die alone. Friends is friends. We don't pretend. We stood by a word. We stand on our own. With or without a team, we still stood strong. The birth of a new generation that can change the whole nation. 80s, baby. Yeah, he's the DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. Throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And if you're ready to rock with the little Chevy Van Dyke, somebody say, oh yeah. Back on the scene, crispy and clean. You can try, but then why? Cause you can't intervene. We be the outcast on another level. I won't go pop or sell my soul to the devil. A rebel, and my cause is to take hip hop back to the days of the yes, yes, y'all. To the beat, y'all. Cause
Cause ain't no future in your front yard. Rappers ain't talk about nothing but money and women. Fucking hoes getting high and pimping. But what about the message that you send it to the children? Teaching you how to live in, nothing but sin. So girls wanna be Kardashians and little Riri's. What about growing up getting college degrees? It's going out to y'all in the deep. Sincerely, Gentleman Gang, 80s babies. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper.
80s babies.
He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. Shout out to my man Josh and Nick. Shout out to Freedom State Wood, Freedom States. Shout out to my man Anthony Company, my nigga Marv.
Word.
Y'all know DJ Cage, second Cage, yo, DJ Cage, cut it. Yo, DJ Cage, cut it. Real rich, man. This is hip hop. Y'all ain't on that, man. I don't know what y'all on, man.
Word up.
That was bad as hell, dude. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you just sit and
Man.
I don't know how you just sit and throw that out.
Man,
like that.
I told you we call him the hook master in the hood.
No, dude, that's I don't know how you just said just throw that out.
This guy's phenomenal.
Dude, it runs in his family too. His sister was sitting in that chair 2 weeks ago, and they just bust shit out like it's not.
Like it's nothing.
They just pull shit out of the air.
We was trying to pull Ish over on the project, and I'm hoping that she would reconsider, because this guy, he's written not only hip hop stuff, but he's also written R&B stuff, and he's just phenomenal. He's like a machine, when it comes to creativity, so.
We got Freedom State Wood, the difference.
I think the world want to know when you're gonna have the difference back on the radio show. We gonna have Freedom State Wood back.
Hey, I'm gonna give y'all some love. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, the difference is my man's, man, and you know what? I want him to shine like we shine. So anytime y'all can welcome him back, y'all welcome back.
I think we really got our moniker out of here tonight.
Yeah, Freedom State is the difference, man. We got the difference. We got the Gentleman Gang, and we definitely got my man A Cuff, and we got my man Marv in the building.
We can't get away from like the Prey web series though.
Yeah.
Because that right there, I think that's going to be huge for the region here. Like because
I agree.
And shout out to like the Senate or the legislators or whatever. Bring back those credits. For guys like Cuffy, when the money comes for Cuffy, he's gonna need those credits for to forward creativity in the region.
I mean, so y'all really want to support a strong project?
Guy,
y'all got to support my man Anthony Cuffy. Gentleman Gang, we're in the process of getting our stuff together as far as the label, as far as the new music. So you know what? It's not about plugging us tonight. It's more about plugging my brother Anthony because he's ready right now. And I don't mean that we're not ready. What it means is that we got to put that light on him right now because God told me to put that light on him. So I'm gonna roll with God on this one, and I'm gonna shine it on my brother.
You got a package ready to go, and I'm like I said earlier, I am very fickle. If I thought your shit was fucked up, Cuff, I'd be like, yo, that shit ain't right, bro.
It's a beautiful project, so I want you and Nick to take a look at it, check it out, man. And like I said, y'all got y'all listeners and people investors, whomever it is, y'all get out here, y'all show some love to A Cuff, man, because I think he's, like I said, he's the Spike Lee of Detroit, man, and he needs to be recognized. I'm gonna bring him back in to close this interview out, so I can sip with my man Jay and Nick on the low.
This wine over here is looking pretty good.
And I'm gonna shout out to my sister as well, man. She had a great play. She came out here to holler at my man Josh and Nick recently.
I was just gonna bring that up, Khalil. Yeah, you want to talk?
You know what, man? I actually went to the play, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hear my cries.
Hear my cry. I don't shed too many tears because I feel like I'm not no thug. I'm never gonna say that. I'm a hustler.
Word.
It's a difference. Whoever a thug, you a thug. You a hustler, you a hustler. Be who you are. See, that's a problem with a lot of people out here, man. Everybody want to be who they not. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to stay in my lane. You stay in your lane, you get respect. You a nerd, you stay in your nerd lane. Just stay in that lane. Just be a nerd. It's all good because guess what? We'll respect you as that. But if you come out of that, you don't get no respect.
Look, I'm a nerd, but I will fuck a motherfucker up.
Don't do it, King. He's a nerd, but he don't have to do that.
Fucking violent nerd.
He's a violent nerd. That's a new moniker. The violent nerd. Hashtag violent nerd.
Yeah, violent nerd.
Hashtag the difference. We got a lot of hashtags tonight.
We got the difference. The violent nerd.
The violent nerd. The hashtag. The difference. I mean, damn, I got to come up with one.
one before the night's
Yeah,
over.
right.
Oh yeah, but
Once
anyway, what I was
one
about to
goes
say
down
is,
the
hear my
dark
cry
path.
gospel play. Excuse me, we got to talk about this part.
Isha Rae.
Isha Rae, it was a great play. I went to go see it, and I hope that she's blessed to get an opportunity to continue it in a big form across the world. So shout out to you, sis. I love you, and I love the D, man. Detroit, stand up. Where we at? Plymouth. How do you say Plymouth? Plymouth.
P-Rock.
No, P-Rock.
We're in the
P-Rock
P.
West.
We're in the P. P stand up, man. The P stand up. You know what? We was nervous when we drove out here, but we happy to be here, man.
I go around this corner right here. My homegirl does eyebrows.
Give her a
and
shout out.
lashes.
What's her address? She do eyebrows.
I don't know that shit off rip. But
Hey, what's
you know
her
what I'm
name?
saying? I helped her put the shit together.
What's her name?
Danielle Smith.
Danielle Smith.
At the
shout out
beauty-
to Danielle
at
Smith.
the beauty bar over here on
The
this main
beauty
strip.
bar. Go to the beauty bar. Get your what? Done.
Lashes. She's an esthetician or whatever. You
Oh,
call it.
I don't know what that means,
She
but
makes sure that your skin is all
skin,
good.
lashes.
Anyway, she takes me up this little strip here over the summer.
Yeah.
So when I bent the corner, I was like, yo, I know where the fuck I'm at now. I know where I'm at now.
Guess how we found that place? Because Freedom State War had to take a piss. Sorry,
he pissed
Plymouth.
in the alley.
Sorry, Plymouth. We found it because he had to piss in your area. But we didn't mean
want
to
to piss on the residential
We didn't
block
mean
over
to,
there.
but he couldn't hold it. So
He couldn't hold it.
Yeah,
You guys should have stopped in at the Box Bar in
The
Plymouth.
box bar.
Yeah, that would have been nice to stop there. Maybe we'll do that on the way out. What's a good pizza around here?
The difference could have pissed there.
The difference could have pissed there.
You guys
The
could have
violent
had.
nerd coulda did it.
You guys could have all had a different
He
thing.
said the difference could have
I
pissed
thought
there.
my Mexican friend was leaving us tonight, but I think he enjoyed the show so much. You know who you remind me of, man? You remind me of the guy from what's that dang on fucking movie? No. It's the movie. It's the movie. He got that funny ass face, and he was the oh my god, he's a comedian. He was a big ass.
Say yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He was in Spawn. He was in Spawn.
I know you're talking about.
Spawn. He was in Spawn.
Oh.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo's in the building. John, say what's up to the mic. Say. John's in the building, man. John Leguizamo.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, yo, know what? He was in some good movies. He turned on his friend in that one movie. Oh, the gay. Oh, no, excuse me. I don't mean it like that. But the guy in the movie. What's that movie? When he turned on him and the guy had the roller skates on.
I don't.
Talk about
No, not Romeo and Juliet. It wasn't Romeo and Juliet. It was a killer movie.
Jacob's Ladder.
No, it's not Jacob's Ladder. No, it's not John Wick. John Wick. Leguizamo was in the movie, and it was a killer. And Spike Lee made the movie.
John Wick was a dope ass movie,
know
though.
two John Leguizamo. Actually, three.
What's the movie?
I bet y'all didn't know he was in Vampire in Brooklyn.
I know. Super Mario Brothers.
No, Super Mario Brothers 1.
Super Mario Brothers. Executive Decision.
No,
and
no.
Spawn.
The movie he was in, it was talking about a killer that was from Brooklyn or New York. Son of Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you. So y'all don't think I'm on some bullshit. Son of Sam.
John Turturro.
Yeah, he was in that movie, and he traded on his friend.
I've never seen it.
You gotta check it out.
Super Mario Brothers. No, that's
Super
a
Mario
film.
Brothers
There.
was horrible.
That's that
That was horrible. But
that
you know,
movie's
hey,
the shit.
Leguizamo is dope. I saw him on stage, and he's dope. So I'm gonna give him a shout out because I see him right here in person. And he got on an A's hat, and he's fly, and he's doing all the technical. So I
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
Adam
Shout
keeps
out to the
popping
technical
in.
guy.
Shout out to him. He's a good guy.
For all you people listening to the XCast every week, you haven't heard Adam's voice once tonight, but you normally do. But
We brought it out.
He's still doing it all, though. He's still doing it all. He's still.
Adam, we got
he's
you.
here.
We got you feeling. Adam's supposed to go see his birthday party.
I shouldn't
tonight.
say that. Nick actually did a lot of the boards. Nick's running some boards, but
Nick's a
Adam's
boss.
popping back in, and we do appreciate that.
Nick's the boss of all bosses.
Khalil,
Yes, sir.
real quick, man.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to? If you don't want to, we don't have a ton of time left.
Okay.
But I was going to ask you about this. Tell me if you want to talk about it. If you don't, we can talk about it at a different time.
I would talk about it.
Talk about
anything.
But I normally don't bring people on here and then ask them about their day jobs.
Okay.
But you got a pretty damn interesting day job.
Yeah, I do. It's awesome.
So you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
I
at all?
will. I'll talk about it. It's awesome.
What do you do? Let's just take. I'd like to spend more time, but
kick it.
let's take
talk
5
about it.
minutes.
We can come back another time and spend the rest, but I'll tell you about it.
For sure.
I am a handicapper. Yeah. That means horse racing. That means Preakness, Belmont Stakes. That means Pegasus Millions. That means the Kentucky Derby. That's what I do for a living. I've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm going to be honest with you. First year, I sucked. Second year, I sucked. Third year, I sucked. Fourth year, I sucked. And fifth year, I started making money. But I have a very tolerant girlfriend who said, do what you believe and what you dream in. And she's there for me. And I have a rule. I make money, I give her half. So you guys out there laughing at me,
I have to give her half. I'm gambling for a living, so she needs half.
Right. Shout out to Jenny.
Shout out Jenny.
Shout out Jenny from the block.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that she got. Hey, I love you, baby girl, for real.
No, it's a cool job though, man. When I first met you,
it's fun, man. That's what we talked about. Our whole conversation, how we got here tonight was, we was at a party and at the party, me and him was drinking. We was having a good time. Our kids was running around, and then we was talking about horses. And he was like, "Let's get out there." So what I'm gonna challenge the X-Cast to do is to come to the Kentucky Derby or the Pegasus Million or the Belmont Stakes or the Preakness. Y'all come out there, podcast, see me do what I do live. Let's do it on the air. Show people how to bet, how to make money with $30 or less. That's the book I'm gonna write soon. It's called $30 or Less. My system is called a Pony Up system, and that system is devised to make people make money with $30 or less. Preparation. Let me see. Like I can't remember my own moniker right now. But I'm gonna shoot it back to you guys. When you drink a little bit too much, sometimes it get bad on you, on your memory. But anyway, I'm gonna shoot that back to you guys. But the Pony Up system is a system that I devised. I'm gonna write the book on it. I have a friend who he's called the Slot Guru. He was actually on Lottery's Famous, the lottery show, and he made his money off doing the lottery. So, he made his money off doing the lottery. And the good thing about him, made millions. Good dude, Slot Guru. My first video, he put his Lexus in it. And I got nothing but love for him. So he made me come up with my name. My name is the Horse Guru. So Slot Guru, Horse Guru. So I followed him in his footsteps. And now I'm going to move with it because I believe that I'm good at what I'm doing. And the funny thing about it is not that I'm not going to talk about culture, but it's not really a black and white thing. But it's not a lot of African-American people in horse racing as far as betting handicap. So y'all come out and enjoy it and be a part of it and learn the game, man. The thing what I've learned in my life, you got to get to meet people, know people, learn people. So therefore, you can be able to venture off in different aspects of life. I want to see the Great Wall of China. I want to go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I want to go to Paris, France. And the only way you're going to get there is you got to meet people who's willing to do that. Stop being stuck in the mud with friends who say, hey, you can't do it. You cannot do it. You won't do it. If your friend's saying that, they ain't your friends. People I roll with, we talking about making it happen. And if they ain't talking about that, then they won't be my friends no longer. So, nothing but love, man.
Absolutely.
We Entertainment is in the building. We will hit you off with all the information, but we're getting it all legally done right now as far as everything we need to do with the name and
what's that publishing company? GG.
Yeah, we got to get all that stuff done. So it was in effect, but we, after a while, we had to redo it again. So when we get everything up, we're going to shoot it back out to Josh and Nick so y'all get everything. And if y'all are some inspiring artists, you want to come out and mess with us, we would love to have you. We would love to have you.
You don't want your executive producer all in your videos.
So in the meantime, you can reach us at WeEntertainment at Gmail, WeEntertainmentGRP@gmail.com.
Okay.
So
can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say send a thank you to our wives, Paula Cuffey and Tawi Moore, because
what up,
them,
P. Diddy?
We wouldn't even be here. And I just want to send appreciation to them real quick.
For sure. Much love.
Them queens back behind you.
Queens backing y'all. That's what it really comes down
you
to.
Can't fail when them queens got your back.
And I want to send a shout out to Josh, Nick, and my Mexican friend right here, John Leguizamo, for looking out and showing us love today because he's supposed to be with his baby, but he really enjoyed our podcast so well that he stayed. And now his baby's mad. 3-year-old baby crying
man,
like
y'all can tell my brother. My brother is a fucking marketing and sales guru. Goddammit. Like if he don't motivate you motherfuckers to get up and be all you can be tomorrow morning without fucking putting the camouflage on.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. You must be a fucking zombie.
Yeah, zombies.
Zombie is the next song.
Zombie is one of the next joints we're gonna do. Yes, it's a dope record. It's talking about how people are just caught up into television and
images.
What images or what
they think
the
they
frequencies. The frequencies.
That, yeah.
So it's a dope thing. X-Cast! Out!
No. Hey, me, Nick, and Adam are so appreciative of having you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
It's been a fun show. Let's bust into the news with Nick right here if he's ready. Oh, are you ready for that?
Yeah.
The news with Nick. Feel free to make your snide comments. That's what it's there for.
What
This is not just the news with Nick. This is the Empire Media News with Nick. That's with a Z.
Empire Media News with Nick. No Lucius.
What a strange transition this is right now.
Yeah, normally Nick's not running the boards, so normally he's kind of like sitting back, drinking coffee or Skinny Girl.
Yeah.
So then Adam says, "All right, it's time for the news with Nick," and
So
then
the Skinny
he's
Girl
like,
would have him like pretty lit right
"Yeah,
now.
nobody hit the Skinny Girl."
I would hit
Yeah,
this.
I know.
I would hit this bitch. I was just making sure.
Yeah, no,
Oh my God,
Here's why
absolutely.
nobody
Pass
drinks
that
Skinny
around.
Girl.
I would.
You
I-
guys drink out of the bottle.
Right.
It's
I-
true. we do.
From
Is
the
that
hood,
bad?
we just don't do that.
Oh, is that bad?
Fuck that. I do that.
Oh well, Chevy Van Dyke does do that.
Oh, all
I
right.
do that.
Khalil
My
does
bad.
not do that.
Oh, right on.
I drink out a cup,
But
but
since
you know
we
I ain't
sharing
mad at
it,
you.
Hey, you can pour it in a cup.
You know what though? I'm not mad at you
Since
guys.
we fucking cheering.
It's going. I mean, it's going
But
through my
I-
lip juice or whatever. I mean,
See, he just killed you. I swear I'm not drinking it now.
but I mean,
Lip
if you want it,
lip juice. Dude, lip juice. That sounds like something real sexy for a female, but
right? It's not nothing sexy.
He got to
going
get
on
to
here.
the fucking the shit, man.
Yeah. All right, this is the Empire Media News with Nick.
So this right here. I always find try to find the goofy stories. This is a real story, legit story. Vegetarians and vegans in the United Kingdom are upset about the new $5 pound bill that is coming out because for some reason the plastic coating over the pound contains animal fat. So there are a lot of people who this is the stupidest.
Well, they're
thing
not
ever.
eating it.
They're boycotting money.
They're boycotting the money.
They're boycotting money in the
has
United
animal
Kingdom now.
fat in it, huh?
Yeah, the Bank of England has revealed that the new plastic $5 note is not suitable for vegetarians as it contains
Well, they're just
animal
not supposed
products.
to eat it, though, right?
Obviously, yes, but
What's the problem?
There's a trace of tallow in the polymer pellets used in the base substrate of the polymer $5 notes or £5 notes. People on and this will be very surprising to you guys. People on the internet are angry.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's so
I'm
crazy.
shocked.
That-
Usually, the internet trolls are
Yeah,
such a happy crowd.
Kindness is usually abundant on the internet. But let's see, it's just a couple of the comments. Say, why would a piece of money ever need to contain something from an animal? Ridiculous. They didn't use an exclamation point.
That makes me like it more.
Yeah. No.
I mean, like I don't eat pork or beef, and I'm like kind of mad.
Really, does that bother you to
I'm
have?
fucked up about this shit.
Are you? And does it bother you
fucked up.
that some of the money's
He's being
going to have?
facetious right now.
Right on, right on.
He's being facetious right
All
now.
right. I mean, 'cause
What do
we
you
could-
think, Adam? You actually are a vegan.
Yeah, Adam is.
I'm not
He's not a
I'm
vegan. He's a
I'm
vegetarian.
But I'm with you. What's the point,
Bro.
I mean, there's
Like, bro,
like
leave the money
you said,
alone
like you
and
said,
leave the
Josh.
food
Are you going
separate.
to eat it? If you're
Right.
not going to eat it, then what's the point?
You know what I mean?
Seems like a
Bro.
waste.
Hey, but I mean, isn't that like the best possible use of the animal is to like use every bit of it?
Yeah.
That's like what the Native Americans
waste.
told us, like no waste, like you take every bit of it and like let's make a sweater
I might be
or some money.
Can I be a little controversial? Right
Sure,
now?
yeah, absolutely. We hope
Because
so.
most of these motherfuckers that's probably complaining are probably rocking leather shoes right now and fucking shirling coats and you know what I'm
Could
saying?
be.
You
Could
know,
be.
You know,
I got on a vegan coat. I mean, fuck that shit.
Vegan.
You got a vegan coat on? Good for you, man. Good for you. That's
it's
right.
all
That's
fucking chemical materials and shit. Don't have your lighter too close to that motherfucker. Poof!
And-
Get
and-
out of here, you Richard Pryor, baby.
And I feel like this is something that wouldn't happen in the United States, but there's no indication. The United Kingdom basically said, "Yeah, we don't care," which is
Don't-
typical.
Don't carry the fact. Keep your MasterCard or Visa.
right, exactly.
You know, there's ways around everything.
More $5 bills for everybody else.
You know, people are so fucking weak now. It's like,
I know.
so sensitive. You know,
What other news we got?
we got fucking
No,
Donald
there's-
Trump as a fucking president, and you motherfuckers is worried about fucking animal fat being on
Right.
fucking $5 bills.
It's
and
like
shit.
it's like so much butt hurt, so little time.
Man,
Yeah.
all right.
The easiest thing to do is just don't use that 5-pound note to buy a hamburger. Like,
Right.
That's all you got to do. Like, which you're not going to do because you're a vegetarian.
Right. Yeah.
This actually, again, another
Tofu burgers. and
yeah,
shit.
another shocking thing. Philip Morris's CEO is
Oh, Lord.
already talking about phasing out cigarettes.
What?
Yes.
Lies.
I'm not.
You lie.
No, Philip Morris International, the world's largest international tobacco
I
company.
love cigarettes.
Could
Didn't we just see like a Filipino baby like puffing
Yeah. Oh,
fucking
absolutely.
cigarette
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
shit like
Yeah.
a vet?
And
Like
why
he
would they
sucked
get
that
rid of
motherfucker
cigarettes?
down. Like
Yeah.
I mean, why is he getting rid of cigarettes? I just don't know. I don't know.
I like cigarettes. Why are you getting rid of cigarettes?
Because the company's IQOS smokeless cigarette, which is already on sale in Japan, Switzerland, and Italy,
God, so weak.
they're looking basically to make a change.
A fucking toy.
Yeah, basically.
He's trying to sell toys to adults.
That's pretty much what it is. And of course, according to doctors, which they've studied these nothing because they haven't even been around yet for like a year. So who knows what the health risks are? But
cigarettes will still be around. Guys.
no, of course they'll still be around. But just the fact
Who
that
makes Marlboro? Are they Philip Morris?
RJ Run?
Are
No,
they-
they're
they're
Philip
RJR.
Morris. No,
So Marlboro.
which really sucks.
So they're phasing out Marlboros.
Marlboro.
My cowboy killers.
Red.
in theory, I think they're probably saying that to see if the market will be mad at them, is my guess. But I mean, yeah, I don't smoke reds often, but if I can't have a red every once in a while, that's gonna blow.
I can't have one, at least a pack of them every couple
You
days.
You better stock up.
My guess is this: if it happens, probably won't happen. For
Don't touch
quite a
my
while.
cowboy killers. Don't touch them.
Let's see what else
somebody
we
gonna
got.
turn some shit over if
Yeah.
they try that shit. Like
Right.
real talk. You know.
Right.
'Cause
Do
we
you know
got-
what the problem is with banning cigarettes or getting rid of cigarettes? You know how easy it is to make a cigarette?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's why
There's
they won't.
nothing to it. It's
My dad
it's
actually
the worst.
makes his own
Yeah,
cigarettes.
it's the worst possible tobacco rolled in a piece of goddamn paper. That's all it is. So if people are like, oh, they're gonna make cigarettes too expensive. No, eventually
They become
every single
obsolete,
person
too.
has their own breaking point as to when they say, all right, fine, I'm just rolling my own.
Right.
But that's all it boils down to, because roll your own cigarettes, it's still a pretty damn cheap thing. It's like when they talk about bullets.
Yeah.
They talk about that with ban. Oh, we don't need to ban guns. We just need to
Regulate bullets.
We just need to make the bullets cost $20 a piece.
Right,
Then
yeah.
nobody will be shooting them.
Right. Yeah.
You know how easy it is to make a bullet?
Yeah.
Right.
You idiot! It's easy as hell to make a bullet.
But here's the thing, like
you just don't, because they're at every store.
Here's the thing, like your typical consumer
they
is
used to
not
make
going to
them.
make their own bullets. You know,
No.
your typical consumer is going to be like, "Fuck, Walmart wants $200 for a box of bullets." Man,
Right.
fuck that shit. I'm not gonna shoot on New Year's. you know, that's a tradition in
Oh,
the
that's
city.
awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know?
4th of July. But listen, though, you guys can't forget though they used to just make their own ammo.
Right. It's not that
Way
hard.
Back when,
It's not that hard. Even an
really
idiot like
easy.
me can figure it out. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not that
Without
hard.
shooting ourselves.
You go to the
And-
gun range and shit. You got your please push sweep up your brass and throw it in their garbage can after you just pay for the shit, and then they get mad at you if you want to take the shit
Right.
home with you and shit. You know,
They're gonna reuse it.
Yeah. Or you can scrap it. Take it to the scrapyard. Brass pays good.
Yeah, right.
It does?
Yeah,
Yeah, brass pays really good.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah.
Fuck, didn't you guys tell me that? when I
Oh
first
man,
walked
I used to
in?
live at the scrapyard, man.
Yeah.
It was like my job.
You know, so I'm like the best at stories, right? Like I try to tell you before, I used to work
Yeah,
for a quality control company, right? And we did these aluminum carriers for GM. We used to ship directly to GM, and we had pallets of these fucking aluminum carriers coming up missing. We had like scrap yards like right down,
Right
up the street, right? So, you know, like it became common knowledge that for a pallet of these aluminum carriers, you can get like roughly like $2,600. You know,
Yeah.
So these pallets that were stored at our warehouse. I mean, tons of these pallets.
How many did you steal, Chevy?
I didn't steal none of them. You never put me
Chevy
on
got
blast
good.
like that.
Chevy
But,
got good luck.
hey, a friend of mine had the code to the warehouse, and ironically, his code was like the code that was used continuously. You know, where these fucking pallets was coming.
You
up.
always got that one friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You always,
I hate my
That
friend.
one friend.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
We got anything else on the news?
Oh yeah, a couple to see a groom to be has banned his fiance's best friend from being a bridesmaid at a wedding because she's not attractive enough.
That bitch.
A woman, 32, was told by her 30-year-old partner, I don't know why their age means anything, that he does not want her friend ruining our wedding photos.
She has to be hideous. Oh my God, Beauty and the Beast and another beast.
Insert Godzilla.
You know why every group
Park here.
why every group of chicks has one ugly chick, right?
Yeah,
it's because somebody's got to drive the car home.
Yes, sir. Fucking designated driver.
The designated driver.
All the other chicks go home with a guy.
She
Somebody's
has a
got to
big
take
back.
the car
Yeah,
home.
I'm gonna give y'all some game for free. This is what we used to do back in the day. We used to holler at the ugly chick so we can get the fine chick. Because the ugly chick be like, you gonna holler at her, right? And the fine chick like, why you hollering at her?
Absolutely.
That's what's the plan. So that's game for free. Holler at the ugly chick, you will get the fine.
Nick
shit not working
Nick
in
is pissed at
2017.
you right now. Nick is pissed at you. You just exposed his whole game.
I don't.
You just exposed Nick's secret game.
It is true.
You just exposed Nick's secret game
Absolutely.
live on the Xcast.
God, yes.
He came on his show, and you're just like, oh, boom, that's what happens.
Nick like, yo, I was just getting ready to say that.
No, he was just getting ready to.
Motherfucker, you
He was
just
just
stole
getting
my
ready
thunder.
to. He was just getting ready to keep it a secret again for another 30 years.
No, it's. I was told once.
He was gonna do the Diddy dance, like like as we proceed.
When I was
started to cut your motherfucking ass off.
No, it's true. I was told when I was in my late teens by someone who was in their mid 30s at the time. Said, if someone says they've never fucked a fat chick, they're either lying or they never get laid. And of course, when I was younger, and when I was
about to start a whole nother segment of the fucking show right now, right?
It's really a dangerous.
Because all the
path
fat
to go
bitches
down.
I fuck were beautiful. Goddamn it!
Oh, absolutely,
beautiful.
Prettiest thing you ever
Some
seen.
beautiful fat bitches right there.
Shout out to the fat chicks, y'all. Everyone in my book.
I mean, I love them. I don't.
And I
what
got
nobody
some
said.
fucking
Fuck
fucking
everybody.
Buffalo Wild
Everybody's looking at me-
BW3s.
Everybody's looking at me side eyed. I don't give a fuck. Fuck that. Hey, no.
Unc told me back in the day that's the practice pussy right there. You know what I'm saying? You fucking fat bitch. You know?
Practice. I've never
Fucking
heard
dog
that.
You
shit
don't
out of her
practice?
ass.
You don't practice?
Yeah,
It's just the.
No,
I've never
did
heard
you-
of it. Is that makes sense?
You guys
but-
know Drake?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you know he
yeah.
made his song practice? Like, yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Oh, is
practice.
that really?
Yeah, he was talking about fucking fat chicks.
That's hilarious.
Drake
Yeah.
just fucks fat chicks, so we all can do it.
That's
Drake's the top guy right now. Like,
Right.
he
No,
fucks
I have a friend. He'll remain nameless for this particular.
Drake.
But
His name's Drake.
But he
You know y'all gonna get letters.
no
behind this
he
shit,
was so
right?
he always
Bro.
talked about how you had
Letters going
you had
down.
you had to appease the gods of getting laid
Yes.
by hooking up with ugly chicks.
Yes, that's a sacrifice.
Yeah,
It's like a burnt
because
sacrifice.
yeah, exactly. It's like the
Not burnt like that, like not burnt.
right. It's like
not
the
burnt.
Illuminati blood
So
sacrifice.
So
You
what
have
are
to-
the repercussions? What are the repercussions if you don't? Because I used to have like morals. And
You gonna get
standards.
your heart
Eventually-
broke. You
okay,
gonna
here's
get cheated on, you're
I'll
gonna
show
get
you
your
the
heart broke.
science. I'll show you.
Gotta
Here's the
fucking
science.
sacrifice. Go ahead, bro.
All right,
Science.
here's the science, man. Okay, if you
Science.
don't, then eventually you won't get laid, and everyone knows that if you don't get laid, your wiener shrivels up and falls off. It's
No,
science.
fuck that. Hey, listen. If you fucking don't do it, no, hold on. Wait. If you
God.
don't fucking do it, listen. If you don't do it, you know what happens? You're gonna fucking get your heart broke. Listen, you have to sacrifice to the gods, like you said. You have to. If you don't, guess what? It's like karma. You have to.
What happens actually? The other part is I'll throw some more science at you. The other
facts.
yeah, this is facts. You can
This
look
is
this up.
facts.
You can look this up. If the only other thing could happen is your wiener will grow legs and arms,
Pause.
and it will kill you in the middle of the night.
Okay.
It will. It
We're
will
not
it
having
will
this
de-
discussion in a room
It
full
will.
of men.
It will
right?
detach
So
itself.
Pause.
It will detach itself from your body. It will find a knife. It will kill you while you're sleeping. Not that you'll be sleeping because you never get laid,
Good
and
to
it's
know.
freaking you out all the time.
Good to know.
So
Do we have any more stories?
you guys asked earlier.
The guests are segueing.
I was gonna say
the guests are coming in saying like, yeah, we gotta shut these guys up.
You guys earlier asked, what is the XCast normal agenda? This is you finally.
This
have
is
heard
the
real
dumb
show.
shit
we
we
finally
talk
got
about.
to the real right here. This is what it's all about.
Beautiful though. Beautiful.
This is, word. This is what it's all about.
All right,
right
throw
here.
one more at us, Nick.
Okay, I'll close. There's a couple. they're stupid, but like there's some pretty involved ones. But this one comes from I just said the Soviet Union. This comes from Russia. There's a movie that just came out called the Panavlov 28, which I probably pronounced.
Oh,
that
28.
28. So
There's 27 other versions.
Evidently there is. And it's about a story from 1941 about
Dude, don't spoil it. I didn't see the first 27.
How when the Nazis were approaching Stalingrad with their tanks and soldiers, 28 Soviet soldiers held them off.
Oh.
Okay, so the people love the movie and blah blah blah. So there's no actual factual basis to the story whatsoever.
Did you just say there are aliens in Russia?
There's definitely aliens.
Absolutely.
I agree. It's definitely some alien somewhere.
Oh my god,
The
absolutely.
motherfuckers had advanced technology and held off a whole fucking German regime.
Guess
And shit,
what? When Trump came into office,
Regiment.
Barack pulled him aside. He said, "You know they got the aliens, right? We got to go holler."
Is that why he's stressed out?
You know, Khalil,
Could be, yeah.
your sister, and her fellow director, writer, actor, they were on board with the aliens. When we were talking aliens.
Man, you
here on the
motherfuckers.
X
I got a question.
Y'all never listened to William Cooper?
I got a question for everybody.
Oh my god! Oh my
Cooper!
Word.
That was the biggest topic of our conversation, man.
Bill Cooper's doing
Every
I got a
American
question, though.
needs a chicken and $10 in
We
their pocket.
We
That's
exposed.
amazing. Dude. You have
We
no
exposed. Oh, dude,
That
Bill
was
Cooper's
last-
my
I
hero,
have that
bro.
shit- Hold on. I got that shit in the car. The
Oh my
fucking
God.
audio book in the car.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I keep
Bill
that shit
Cooper,
on.
man.
That shit just pops up randomly out of nowhere from
Yeah,
time to time.
Because
And I
everyone
listen to a chapter or two. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, because everybody that wasn't telling the truth,
The
quote unquote.
aliens landed
Yeah.
at their base.
Yeah, because all those people,
Right.
they get a warrant out for their arrest for tax evasion, and then the government sends a mob of dudes to shoot them.
Yes.
Yeah.
He predicted his own death, though.
I know he did.
You know, he said they're gonna come for me, but he knew the procedures and protocols.
I got a question, guys.
So what's
Do
up,
you
man?
guys goddamn think? Do you guys think that you ever like met like an alien like in a fucking like human form or some shit? Like, do you guys ever
Just
think
Nick and Adam.
Yeah.
Nick and Adam? Those only two.
They the cool aliens, you know. But
I don't know. I've met some pretty weird people in my life, so I
okay.
guess it's
I
possible.
saw a guy crossing like fucking Gratiot today, like downtown, like where Gratiot goes into downtown.
Yeah.
And
By Eastern Market.
no, like right there where Gratiot ends and goes into like actual
I know
downtown
exactly.
where Buffalo Wild Wings and all
Yeah.
the soup places, Broadway and shit is at, right? So this guy was like super fucking skinny, was like super weird, and the girl that I had in the car with me, she was like, "Yo, he's got to be gay." I say that motherfucker's an alien.
It's either one or the other. I mean,
Yeah, like flooding ass fucking pants. His socks didn't go up, too high and shit. And then he had like a brown ass trench coat on, and he was carrying a fucking what is it? Fucking Starbucks,
Oh,
a Starbucks small joint,
alien.
And he was holding the motherfucker with his pinky finger out as he walked across the street. I was like, yo, that's like,
was it me a few years back? I'm just saying.
It's been like
I
that.
used to be skinny. I'm just saying. Could have been. It could have been.
Let me finish this off.
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
can-
Please do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what? So 28 Russians held off.
Yeah, they held up. So a top historian in Russia, not surprisingly, said, "Look, this is a fictional story."
Okay.
No
No ray guns involved.
Yeah. So the culture minister Vladimir, it's so crazy. It's sort of like everyone.
Yeah,
that's
it's
like the name you get.
Vladimir's like John, but twice as words.
Exactly. Culture Minister Vladimir Medinsky has launched a scathing attack on doubters, which is hilarious. This is him taking doubters to task about a story that he is about to say this to. They are trying to knock away the foundations of our faith in things that are absolutely set in stone and holy. Even if this story was invented from start to finish. This is holy legend, which is simply untouchable, and people who do this are the scum of the earth.
Word, bitch! Stop doing research.
So he ills people for
Ew.
saying the story is untrue. Then he says it's not true, and still says you're a piece of shit for not believing the fake story.
It's like, I know it's untrue. You know it's untrue. Now shut up about it.
Shut up up and enjoy the propaganda, man.
Yeah,
That's
come on,
exactly
man.
what he's saying, which I just find it's funny because we don't live there. But
Oh, we got our very own.
we're pretty
propaganda.
close.
We do. Oh, we do.
We
got
so,
our own shit
We're
here.
getting there.
so, but
You
yeah.
know.
So
Look,
that
man.
was
Hey, look,
kind
fellas.
of
I
hilarious.
want to be invited back for when you guys do like the conspiracy theory shit.
Oh,
Like,
yeah?
Please invite me back.
Invite me for that Christmas shit.
Hey,
Dude, we can bring you back on here.
Yeah, like for anything conspiracy theory, whatever,
We'll talk off air.
politics,
Yeah.
whatever. Let's
We'll
do
talk
it.
off air. No.
You know,
Yeah, Chris.
Chevy Van Dyke is one of the most political smart guys I know. He's the one guy in the gentleman gang that's still in school, still learning, still getting educated. Shout out to my man Freddie State Woods. Shout out to Chevy Van Van Dyke.
Shout out to Khalil, y'all, baby.
And shout out to Nick, Josh, and my man right here in that movie. What's that movie?
I think
Adam.
John Leguizamo was in the
It's
building.
Adam.
Baby. It's
Khalil.
the gentleman gang.
Khalil, thank you very much. You just gave a better send out than I could have given. So thank you all for coming in here. This is so much fun
Thank
having
you.
everybody in here tonight. We got to wrap this up because we're
right.
pushing
Way
the
over time.
2-hour mark, and this is gonna be impossible to download. But hey, it's in there. So thanks everybody for coming in.
Remember
We
everything.
really
y'all,
appreciate
y'all
it.
jump off that cliff.
Check us out next week when we're back with another Deep Issues cast. We're not telling you what it's going to be. It's a surprise. So you just got to tune in. You stuck around for the simulation theory, the singularity, the multiverse, the aliens among us. You stuck around for all of them. The Apocacast, the Apocalypse. You were there for all of them. Don't miss next week, episode number 30F, when we're coming at you with the Deep Issues cast. We'll be there same time, same channel, theempiremedia.com, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, streaming live or available for podcast download later. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week.
DNA strains. These bum niggas ain't hip, can't even understand. Afghani has Detroit beating Japan. My Adidas touch them blocks that them OGs ran. Flagrantly come playing, hope to God a nigga fold. Bitch niggas hate me cause I do it so cold. Catch me in traffic with that bullshit you on. I know bread when I see it, and that ain't you home. Been exposed to old money, we find amongst killers. Told keep that thriller, us old niggas will kill ya. Heavy as the crown, I swear, I feel ya. I stay on vacation in the coldest fucking villas. Parlay with you.
Can they hear me? They hear me live out there. Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted.
Those was
You got
wood
another
beats
beat,
right
another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope, that's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up. Oh, or turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, natty ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working a hustling to get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater. Watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Bond's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8:00 a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm a rapper.
Welcome. How you doing, everybody? This is episode number 53 of the Xcast here on theempiremedia.com. It's day 4,812 in the search for Tim Shovelday, who is probably still mourning the death of Brian Murray.
Have you talked to Tim at all about that?
Yes, I have.
How's he doing?
Heartbroken.
Is he?
Yes.
I figured he probably
Timmel
was.
from the old Grouty days is very heartbroken over the passing of Brian Murray, as was I.
I figured he was actually legitly heartbroken.
Oh yeah, no, it was a sad day. He's the one that told me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's how I found out. It was a text from Timmel.
I was gonna text him like as soon as it happened, but I didn't have the heart.
Yeah, I know. It's rough. It is rough. Poor Brian Murray. But anyway, if you want to see Timmel, you can see him unsettled on the screen live every night at 10 p.m. Eastern. But you're not watching Timmel. You're watching me. I'm Josh Houslander. With me, as always, is Adam Hernandez, and this is the Xcast. We got a lot to cover tonight. Nothing major, we're just gonna kind of kick around, but man, I mean,
the country seems like it's a mess. It's a mess, you know. I mean, we turn on the news and the country's a mess. Is it as bad as it seems, Adam? I mean,
I don't.
I mean, is there some sensationalism going on here? And you can feel however you feel on this issue, but I'm just wondering, is some of this being blown out of proportion a little bit, or am I, I know I have strong opinions on it. Adam has strong opinions on it. I'm sure you do too out there listening, but I feel like that's a good way to start the conversation. I mean, am I the only one that thinks that some of this is just being sensationalized a little bit?
I mean, it could be, but I mean, the thing is, though, is when we're sitting here in 2017, I mean, we really shouldn't be. I mean, you would think race relations would be getting better than what they are right now. I mean, you wouldn't think we'd be harkening back to the 60s when we had clashes, on the streets between two different sides about race relations, and that's exactly what we have right now. And
is it about race relations, or is it about some radical groups on both sides going crazy and us giving them too much credence? Because the thing I just don't get is, you can feel about however you feel about them, but these statues have been up for decades and decades. These groups have existed for so long, and I just don't understand why we all of a sudden stopped ignoring them.
Well, I think it's a lot easier to mobilize now. I mean,
That's a good point.
I mean, the way that, and it goes for both sides. We're living in a day and age right now where social media is prevalent in all of our lives, and information travels much quicker than what it did before. And like I said, it goes both ways. White supremacists, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever, are able to mobilize just like, the people who want to protest, the counter-protest those individual groups are able to mobilize much easier. And, information, and it's not just that. I mean, there's information too that, on where these statues are located, and, people obtain that information and they're able to go and rally, in support of it, or rally to, get it taken down. It's just, we're in a different age. That's why, I don't know. I just can't put too much into the argument that, oh, well, this has been around for a long time. How come it was never an issue before? Well, I'm sure it was probably an issue before. It's just drumming up the support, pro or con, for it was probably a lot tougher than it is today.
Okay, I mean, I guess the thing that I just kind of don't get is, okay, neo-Nazis suck. I mean, old-fashioned Nazis really sucked. Neo-Nazis suck. The KKK sucks.
Any type of Nazi sucks.
It always has. I mean, these things suck, but, okay, we have freedom of speech, and these groups have been having rallies and having marches for decades, for 75 years, and I just don't quite understand why we stopped ignoring them.
Well, you know what?
There's not much to it. Quite frankly, and I know this is going to be taken the wrong way by people, but neo-Nazi groups in America, maybe this is changing right now, I don't know, but neo-Nazi groups are harmless. It's a bunch of dopes.
Are they harmless? They just killed some girl.
Well, and guys going to jail for it for a long time. But it was harmless because this happened, and it's still 150% this guy's fault. He's a murderer. He should go to jail, and he's gonna go to jail for a long time. But we used to just ignore these things. We used to just let them talk. They have the First Amendment, right? So let them do their dumb little march and ignore them, and they just go away. Just nobody show up. That's the best way to silence these people, is let them fill out their form, let them get their permit, let them have their march, nobody show up, don't pay any attention to it, and so what?
I think a lot of this, though, started, Josh, and I know a lot of people come from other areas to counter protest or protest, either which way. But I think a lot of this starts with people not wanting that hate spewed in their own town, and they go out, and I think they have every right to do that, to go out there and speak out against these horrible human beings. Now,
I don't know. I like the Bill of Rights, man. I like the First Amendment. I like the 10th Amendment.
Don't these people who speak out against these individuals coming into their town, don't they have as much of a right to speak out against them?
They have a First Amendment right, but they are going against the 10th Amendment by trying to feign the use of one of their rights to take away a right from somebody else.
Yeah, but
your right of freedom of speech isn't a right to not be offended. It's a right to freedom of speech. So let them have their protest, let them have their march, and then you go have your protest later.
But again,
and ignore these. These
I don't blame anyone. I can't blame anybody for going out and speaking against the white supremacists, especially too for in their case who want to limit the freedoms of other Americans living in this country. I mean, I know it's kind of a, what do you call it? Is it an oxymoron?
Yeah, catch-22 perhaps.
Yeah, it's catch-22. But again, I'm not going to say somebody going out there speaking out against somebody in their town, spewing racial hatred is trampling on somebody else's right. I mean, they're not.
But it is, though. In some ways, it really is, because you really are trying to silence someone. You are trying to take away their right to do it, and you would be so much better off to then.
Well, are you trying to silence them, Josh? Or are you trying? Are they trying to make a counterpoint to them?
The counterpoint's already there. The counterpoint doesn't even need to be made.
But perhaps maybe one of the most dangerous things in America are the people who are easily influenced. Right. You said it yourself.
But
you said yourself. One day we were conducting a debate on this show, and I went ahead and said something along the lines of, it might be pointless for you and I to be debating this because neither of us are going to change our minds regarding it. I can't remember if you said this off the air or on the air.
I did say it off the air that particular day.
Yes.
I may have said something similar, but it's a point I've made in the past.
Yeah, but you said the whole point of doing this is to not convince each other, but convince other people.
Right. A debate is trying to convince the rest of the people in the room, not necessarily the person you're debating.
And I guess that's part of my point is given the day and age that we are living in, the way that information travels, is it more important now for a counterpoint to get out there and speak out against this than it was 30 years ago?
Perhaps. Actually, I would say no. It's not more important now than it was 30 years ago. But unfortunately, this isn't what either side in these groups are doing. They're not trying to debate each other. They're trying to disrupt the other side's right to speak, the other side's right to free assembly. They're trying to go in there and disrupt. They're not setting up a microphone and saying, this guy is saying X, Y, and Z. This is the logic that debates those points. Those points are ridiculous. Here's the truth. That's not what they're doing. They're going in there. They're throwing signs. They're throwing rocks. They're starting fights. That's it. They're just picking fights.
I don't think they're picking fights.
You don't think these two are picking fights?
Well, I don't think people going out there. Well, the fight. If you're going to be talking about picking fights, it all comes on the group that is organizing these marches on the white nationalist, white supremacist side. Those are the people that are picking fights here.
Yeah, to me,
those are the ones that are going out there and have a contentious topic in hand that they want to spew. Those are the people that are going out there and picking fights.
But a contentious topic is is free speech. To me, this is
But
not.
again, but if we're talking about picking fights, though, and isn't there?
Hang on, this is a case by case basis, though. Okay, the person who's the group that's picking the fight is the one that got there second. Whoever signed up, yeah, absolutely.
Hold on.
Yes,
though.
whoever signed up to be there protesting first is not the one picking the fight.
They knew these white supremacist groups knew that they were going to get a counter protest. They knew it. They knew it just like the city managers, the city council, whoever it is that approved the permits. They knew that something like this was going to happen.
Speaking and having rallies and having marches for 50 years.
And exactly, but at the same time, I don't know if we've totally ignored them.
Yeah, the media just didn't report on it. There's no big deal.
There's always been a counter protest to it. And you know another thing too about all of this is I've said this many times before, but Donald Trump has given this sort of a sick legitimacy. He has. And I think that's what makes this a little bit more prevalent now than where we were 20 years ago.
It's not more prevalent for these groups right now.
But it is,
it's
though.
It's just being reported on.
Based on the guy who is in office, it is becoming a little bit more prevalent than what it was before.
Well, the fights are the nastiness is because they're being pitted against each other by the powers that be, by the media. They're being pitted against each other.
I don't know about that. Again, I think we kind of. I think the media in some ways is getting the video game treatment here.
What does that mean?
When we tend to blame video games for kids going out and shooting people, I think that we're kind of doing the same thing to the media in this one.
Oh, I mean, I don't blame them for individual actions, but listen, I don't want people silenced. I want people to be able to speak. I want people to be able to protest. Personally, I think protesting is dumb. I always have. I think protesting is dumb as hell. I think people have the right to do it. They, of course, should have the right to do it. And if you want to, cool. But protesting accomplishes nothing. It's silly to me. It's ludicrous. But you can do it. You can do it all you want. I don't, I do silly, ludicrous things sometimes too, I mean, who doesn't? I don't understand it. I don't understand. I also just don't understand the idea that, a monument that's been there for 75 years is now all of a sudden it's terrible.
I mean, but weren't these monuments put up though during the Jim Crow era? I mean, weren't they put up to intimidate black people?
No.
I would argue against that, but I think they were.
I don't think there's any proof of that. And even so, okay, listen, if we had like the truly the basic ideals behind federalism, if we had stayed true to any of these ideas, then so much of this wouldn't be an issue, because states would be allowed to have a bit of their own culture, and you would be able to freely not go there, ignore it. Who cares? It's really not that big a deal. Truth is, Adam, you can say has racist ideas. You can say that people in the South are racist, and that everybody.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying people in the South are racist.
Well, I mean, a lot of people do say that, though. A lot of people do say that,
and that's their own problem for having those.
Well, and that's
those narrow-minded.
It's one of the few, not the only, but it's one of the few acceptable forms of bigotry right now. Is that you are allowed to be prejudiced or prejudge people who live in the South. That's an acceptable form of bigotry.
And I am not, and I for one am not saying that. I'm not saying that just because you live in the South, you're a bigot or a racist.
There is a big black fist up in Detroit, Michigan, here where we live. This, by many, has been viewed as a black power symbol by many in the city of Detroit.
The Joe Louis fist?
Yeah, the Joe Louis fist. This has been viewed by a symbol of that for many years. Personally, I've lived in the Detroit area my whole life. I've known that some black people in the city and outside the city do view it that way. There was a lot of racial issues here. Personally, I always viewed it as Joe Louis fists. It's outside Joe Louis Arena. Mm-hmm. Who cares? I don't care. To me, I always viewed it as Joe Louis Fist. It means nothing to me. I think it's a cool little landmark here. I don't have an issue with it. And I also, furthermore, I don't even have an issue with it if there are, for instance, some racist black people in the city who view that as a black power anti-white symbol. If you view it as that and it makes you happy, whatever, it's there. View it however you want. And I'm not denying that there's somebody in the South that says, yeah, there's a statue of Robert E. Lee up there. You know what that means? Black people are going to be slaves again. Listen, if somebody thinks that in the South, that's fine. But listen, I'm going to say something that's very controversial. Robert E. Lee was a great man in history. Perfect? Oh, far from perfect. He fought for the Confederacy. He fought for a cause that I am so very against. But as a historian, as somebody that just loves history, if you can't look at Robert E. Lee and glorify some of the good aspects of this man, of this noble person, in a lot of ways, who is trying, view him from a noble aspect, then you got an issue. I mean, for one thing, if you can't
I guess I have an issue then.
I mean, well, okay, then you can't look at anybody in history. You certainly can't look at military figures.
But the guy was a traitor. He fought to separate the Union, and he fought to have black people enslaved, continue to have black people enslaved. I mean, isn't that enough to label the guy as a as a guy that maybe we shouldn't have a statue of this guy.
You can't judge everyone throughout history by what you know right this second. You can't do that.
But what else is there to know about Robert E. Lee other than what that lasting?
Because there's another side to the story.
That lasting legacy that he left.
So I guess should we then ignore every good thing that George Washington did for the country? Every good thing that Thomas Jefferson wrote and did for the country? Robert E. Lee was actually against slavery.
But there's a false equivalency to Robert E. Lee and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson.
Why?
Because George Washington and Thomas Jefferson didn't fight to split the nation up. They didn't fight to keep people enslaved.
That is the reason you're using to dislike him this minute. But if anyone who's been in a college classroom in the last 15 years knows that there's just as much talk like this about George Washington and about Thomas Jefferson.
But again, though, it's a false equivalency when you're trying to distinguish the two of them.
I mean, so as a historian, I can't look at some of the things Robert E. Lee did and admire him. I mean, Alexander the Great had slaves too.
Okay,
am I not allowed to like him?
But again, he didn't. Again, my point is George Washington.
Yeah, he rebelled against Persia,
and Thomas Jefferson didn't fight in this country to keep black people enslaved.
So if you have a heritage in that, you're not allowed to.
A heritage in what?
There's people in the South, a lot, whose great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents fought in the Civil War. Those were Americans who died. So you're not allowed to respect your own heritage, to respect your own familial heritage.
Okay, but do we need to have? I mean, respect all you want within your own family, but do cities need to and states need to erect statues?
Okay, Adam,
honoring that?
You said that these were put up to potentially scare black people or to bring in racist ideas. I completely deny that.
Okay.
Because these were put up historically in an attempt to heal the nation. To remind us all that the people that died on both sides of the Civil War...
During the Jim Crow era of the early 1900s?
Sure.
I don't think so. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, okay, this goes. I mean, listen, who is there? There's people out there who are worse than the Confederacy.
And we were talking about healing the nation in the 1920s and the 1930s.
Yeah,
I mean, how many years after the Civil War?
This is the heritage down there. This is the history.
I mean, I could see that argument being made like in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, but not in the 1920s and the 1930s.
So one has to, in the name of political correctness, sanitize history. In essence,
no,
we have to get rid of the
no. You said that they were erected to try to heal the nation. I could see that happen.
To remind the people that their grandparents, their grandparents who fought for this cause although they lost, although they were wrong, we're still Americans, and we move forward from it. We honor both sides of it because of that reason.
Again, I could see that happening in the wake of the Civil War, not decades after it happened.
Time moves slower back
And
then. There wasn't Google Boxes, there wasn't Facebook.
Well, I don't think that has anything to do with it. But if you want to do something like that, why can't you have a universal statue honoring the Civil War and not just one honoring Stonewall Jackson or
when you're talking about Stonewall Jackson's triumph in a
or was it Bedford Forrest, the guy who was allegedly started the KKK, or Robert E. Lee? I mean, why can't it be an all-encompassing Civil War monument?
Why can't any of these things be forgiven or viewed as a historical thing? I mean, there's people still in the Democratic Party who have ties to the old KKK because their families have been Democrats forever.
Okay,
so we're not allowed to listen to them ever. I mean,
if they're still tied to the KKK and they're Democrats and they still and they cherish that, then yeah, they're not.
The Clintons talked about how great of a person Robert Byrd was.
Well, didn't Robert Byrd renounce everything that was in his past and
sort of, kinda?
Okay, well,
kinda, sorta, I guess.
Okay,
because he had to, I guess.
Okay, well, I don't, again, that may be up for debate, but
yeah, I guess that could. So did Strom Thurmond.
Okay,
I mean, they both renounced this stuff. I guess later in life, the Confederacy, admitted they were wrong and surrendered.
Okay, but
I mean,
but they also tried to split up a nation, though. They tried to secede from the Union and start their own nation.
England talks to us.
Yeah, they do, but but again, England still has its own country, though.
Right, and we still have ours.
Yeah, but the Confederacy is no more.
Right, they were destroyed. So
yes.
Why do they not necessarily have? I'm not on the side of the Confederacy.
I know you're not.
I'm a big Abe Lincoln fan, but why do they not necessarily have the right to secede from a union like we did?
But they're trying to enslave black people. That was the biggest crux in this.
Nasty.
Yes.
I
like to think that between these two sides,
happened, but you don't. I mean, again, this is such an overused statement, but those who don't remember history are forced to repeat it.
You know what?
You don't get rid of slavery by acting like it didn't happen.
You're right, but I'm not saying that you just try to wipe away Confederate history. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when people look at this, whether it's a sport. A name of a sports team like the Washington Redskins, or the logo that's used for the Cleveland Indians, or something like this. People always tend to seem to go back to, oh well, it's history. We need to realize our history. You know what? Go pick up a book, take a class, go read something on the internet, go to a museum, watch a documentary. You don't need a statue up to go and realize history in a public place like a city building or like a state building. That doesn't need to happen. Go and put it in a museum. Go and put it in a museum. Oh, how much history are we going to learn from going up to a park?
You ever went on a field trip when you were a kid?
Yeah, but I didn't go and see a Confederate statue. I learned about that in school, or I learned about that going to a museum. Stuff like this can still happen. It just seems like this is an excuse to keep this type of thing around when you don't need to have that excuse. There's a perfectly good excuse to put this in a museum, to continue talking about it in books. And
are you saying that Antifa will not protest these things if they're in museums?
And if that's the case, then that point is wrong. I think there's very fine lines drawn here. I don't think that there's really any sense of having any ambiguous lines. I think they're really defined lines on these statues and where they should go up, where they should be, and what they represent.
Don't you think that should be up to them?
Up to who?
I don't know. South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever it is. Don't you think? I think the fist in Detroit.
No, I don't.
Should be left up to.
No, I don't.
No, I mean,
not in that
that's,
case.
I mean, that's a blatant violation of that state's rights to do that. They can put up a statue wherever they want. And somebody from Ohio or Michigan going down there and complaining about it and protest, you don't even have to go there. You never have to go there ever in your entire life if you don't like it. You think everybody in the South's a racist redneck? Then don't go there. Just like I would be furious if somebody from the South was saying that that Joe Louis fist in Detroit's a symbol of Black Power and the Black Panthers did terrible things, because they did. You know, they it was pretty nasty, but it was a nasty time on both sides. But I'm sorry, I don't have a problem with this being honored. Listen, I'm going to take this a step further. People love to make everybody's a Nazi, right? Everybody you don't agree with is a Nazi nowadays. You know, that's just the thing. Truth is, there's really, there's. It's such a dumb equivalency to constantly be calling everybody a Nazi, which people just love to do. They love to for years. I actually thought for a while there it was going away, that people are going to stop comparing everybody to Hitler that they didn't like, or stop comparing everybody to Nazis that they didn't like. But it's actually getting worse. It's spun right back to it. But, okay. We live in the United States. Mm-hmm. Our grandfathers and great-grandfathers, and depending on how young you are, great-great-grandfathers, fought in World War II. Mm-hmm. I have, my grandpa's old uniform. I have different things that, to honor that service. We won that war.
Was he in Europe or was he in the Pacific?
He was in the Pacific. Battle of Okinawa. Purple Heart, all that stuff. Very cool. I'm very proud of that.
I was sure that was worse.
What?
I was sure that was worse because the Japanese were relentless.
Yeah. Oh no, it was terrible.
And
it was terrible. No prisoners in the Battle of Okinawa whatsoever. Yeah. Not one prisoner. They wouldn't be taken prisoner, so you had to kill every single person or be killed. But if you live in Japan, or you live in Germany, or you live in Italy, there's a really good chance that your great-grandpa or your great-great-grandpa fought in World War II too. Are you supposed to deny that there was any nobility in what they thought? You're just supposed to say, oh, well, my grandpa fought in the war, so I guess he was a Jew-hating Nazi. I guess he was a Hitler-loving bastard. I guess he was a terrible person.
No, but
I guess my family were terrible people.
But you could probably say, you know what, the underlying cause that on the side that they were fighting wasn't good.
Right. Fine. You can admit that all you want. You can totally admit that.
I mean, because there's been plenty of people who
you can always point out.
I mean, a former Hitler youth went on to become Pope, right? I mean, wasn't
kind of, sort of.
Was it Benedict? Wasn't he a former Hitler youth?
A bit overblown, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, John Paul II. They made references to that, in Poland as well. That he's a supporter, but it's kind of like if you said you were a supporter in Poland, it was probably because somebody was pointing a gun at your head. But I mean, if you're constantly looking at the negative throughout history, I'm sorry. So if what I said earlier was just so offensive to people that I think Robert E. Lee was a great man because I like to study him and I like to, look at it and I like to point out the nobility, and just like I like to point out the nobility and look at the good parts of Alexander the Great or Julius Caesar or Hannibal of Crete or other great military leaders that, when you're studying military history. Mm-hmm. I like to do that. So I include Robert E. Lee in that list because he was a great military leader. Probably one of the top 3 military leaders in human history. Honestly, just with the odds he faced. But you could just as easily always take the negative. You could say that, all right, your grandpa fought in World War II? Oh, I guess he fought for interning Japanese people. That's what he was fighting for. While he was over there, FDR was over here interning Japanese people. We were committing terrible atrocities. We committed atrocities against German soldiers. Everybody saw the Brad Pitt movie, right? That's got to be totally true facts there. So we committed atrocities. So that's what your family was fighting for, was all that terrible stuff. Again, I just don't see it that way. I just don't see it that way.
I think that's another false.
The Confederate soldiers very few of them owned slaves.
Yeah.
Very few. Slavery didn't benefit them.
Was that one of the main issues, though?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. The Civil War was about slavery, and I know there's people on both sides of the argument that love to tell me I'm wrong about that. But it's not true. Yes, of course the Civil War was hugely about slavery. Was it about states' rights, too? Absolutely. Was it about state pride? Definitely. Was it about Southern pride? Yes. Was every single one of those Confederate soldiers fighting for their slaves? No, they didn't even have slaves. Very few people in the South owned a slave. And if you were one of the grunts doing the terrible work of fighting the war, chances are you did not own a slave. Chances are no one in your family owned a slave. And to take it further, if you or anyone in your family owned a slave, you probably owned a slave. Or half a dozen slaves over the last 100 years. The vast majority of the slaves were concentrated on plantations by extremely rich Southerners. The sharecropper, the white sharecropper in the South, did they have it better than slave? Oh yeah, bet your ass they had it better than a slave. Everybody had it better than a slave. Slavery is arguably the most evil human practice. Just in human history. But these people didn't have slaves. Most of them didn't even have slaves. They really didn't.
But they're fighting to keep one of the most evil human practices in place.
They're also fighting to fight because they thought that was the cause. There's most people fighting in a war aren't privy to the politics, and they're certainly not privy to the hindsight that comes 200 years later. That's just, it's not right. We have this thing for some reason.
They don't need to know the hindsight, though.
But we judge it based on the hindsight. We're judging people that fought in this war because of the hindsight. And again, listen, I hate the Confederacy.
We're basing this off of they may not have known any better. The only thing they
Partially.
knew, was suppressing black people. That's
no. The only thing they knew was going to war for what they viewed their lives, their livelihood, their culture. The same reason we went to war in World War II,
and to break up a nation. And
it was a rebellion. It's a rebellion.
Yeah, it's not like
that's what rebellions are. The history is written by the winners. We fought a rebellion against England. We won. Confederacy fought a rebellion against the rest of the U.S. They lost. And good people did a lot to try to bring that back in to the fold.
You're not going to find an argument with me when it comes to keeping history around. But again, when it comes to having these statues on in front of state buildings or city buildings, that's where I have a huge problem with it.
Listen, there is a moral argument to be made. I said this last week.
And I always find it so ironic when you see people going out there flying a Confederate and American flag together. To me, that just it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. There's people that fly British and American flags together. There's people that it's just part of the culture.
I don't understand.
Well, you don't understand it, but you also weren't born in the South, and neither was I, and I don't really understand it either. But I don't see somebody with a Confederate flag baseball hat on down south as I don't instantly say, "Oh, he's a racist. He hates black people. He wants to bring back slavery." It's not what it means to people down there. To some, maybe. It could. It might. It might. But that's not what it means down there. Just because you're waving Confederate flag doesn't mean you're a racist. I just reject that. I do. And I feel like the United States has this terrible problem where we love to paint the negative picture of ourselves. We love to self-hate ourselves, which the sentence didn't make a whole lot of sense, but we love to put that on us. And this idea that, slavery sucks. It's terrible. It's a truly evil practice. And I'm really glad that the vast majority of planet Earth at this point, especially the modernized parts of planet Earth, have gone away from it. But the idea of slavery predates the use of money. As soon as people in any culture become developed in any sort of way, one of the very first things they do in pretty much any culture is enslave somebody. And this idea that slavery is, unique to America or unique to the South in the U.S. is just, it's ludicrous.
That's absolutely.
Slavery has existed everywhere and still does exist, actually.
Sure
by
does.
the way,
Yep.
It exists a ton in the Middle East. It exists in China to some degree. One thing I will say too: chattel slavery, the form of slavery used in the in the deep South, and especially predating the United States, in the southern colonies, is an especially nasty form of slavery. Where you can make the argument that the old Roman or Greek form of slavery wasn't quite as bad. But slavery's slavery at the end of the day, really. Slavery's terrible. So it's more semantics than anything else. But I don't know. I'm scared that history is trying to be sanitized here. That's what I'm scared of. I don't like it. And there's a ton of people out there I don't agree with. I think they have the right to their opinion, and I think they should be left alone. That's it, really. This used to happen in the 80s and 90s all the time. The KKK would have a rally. They would go, they would do their little, they would do it up here in Michigan. They would sign their little waiver, they'd get their permit, they'd go have a rally. No news station would cover it, and nobody would show up. It's the best way to silence these idiots. The KKK sucks, but the truth is, the KKK nowadays is mostly harmless. They were terrible. And
Oh, sure.
in the early 1900s.
There's no argument.
It's a bunch of dopes wearing white hoods, preaching a stupid old rhetoric, trying to dance around this antiquated, terrible idea and make it sound like it's something halfway intelligent. They always fail. Same with these neo-Nazis. These guys, listen, I'm not trying to stick up for Nazis back in the day, like real Nazis, but these neo-Nazis, come on. These guys are a bunch of cowards. They're a bunch of dopes. These guys aren't soldiers. They're not, they're incapable of nothing. They're getting, they're standing toe-to-toe with a bunch of purple-haired liberals, and the fight's about even, from what I'm seeing on TV. These groups could just so easily be ignored. Just ignore them. They're idiots. They're dopes. And so is Antifa. So many of these groups are just ignore them. And if you're gonna have the right to free assembly, listen, I'm against statism, as you know. I'm against all this stuff. To me, you should just be able to have free speech, have free assembly, all this stuff. You shouldn't have to ever have a permit. I'm against the idea of a permit. But in our nation, you have to go get a permit to have a rally. You have to go to give a permit to get a parade. You have police officers there. Why the hell do we have police if they're going to let this happen? Why the hell do we give out permits if we're going to let two warring protest factions both be there on the same day? Say, all right, you want your right to free assembly? All right, neo-Nazis, you get your rally on Thursday, and here you go, Antifa, you get Friday, and the KKK, all right, Saturday it is, and just let them do it. But really, if one of those groups has a permit and the other one doesn't, it doesn't matter what they're saying. It's not for the police to judge. We can judge as individuals at home and say, Group A, Group B, Group C sucks, or all of the above suck. We can say that. But if one of them is registered and licensed and permitted to be there, let them talk. Let them do their thing. And Adam, when it comes to...
And like I said, and if somebody wants to be the counterpoint to it, then let them talk as well.
But then police should probably be there removing them when you are inciting a riot. Because,
but who's inciting the riot, though?
well,
I mean, who's inciting the riot?
You can't judge the peaceful protest by what the people are saying.
You go back to Charlottesville then.
Who's inciting the riot? Whoever threw the bottle.
I mean, who?
I don't care who throws the bottle, who throws the first rock, or who does, but they should be arrested.
But if you go back to Charlottesville, who were the ones that were inciting the riot? Was it the people who were actually down protesting the Robert E. Lee statue? Or was it the white supremacists carrying the torches and the clubs and
in that case, it was the white supremacists
and showing up with the guns and
no, in that case it was the white supremacists. In that case it was. But like I said last week on this show, there is several moral arguments to be made for taking down these statues.
Mm-hmm.
There are several moral arguments to be made for this. I have made them in the past, and I will make them in the future. But there is not a moral argument for pushing over a statue and spitting on it and pissing on it and wrecking property.
Again, yes.
So in that case, the people who did that should be arrested. And why do we have?
And they did get arrested.
Some after the fact, but police stood around in a circle and watched them knock these statues over. That's ignorant.
Okay.
That's ignorant.
Okay, but they still got arrested. Yes, I agree. You know what? You want to approach these situations in a lawful manner. I will agree with you on that one. Just like, when there's the Berkeley protests, I have no problem with people counter protesting, but the minute that you go and you start to, destroying storefronts, then that's well, you're not doing much for your own cause. I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Okay.
But
listen, I think we both made some good points here. I think this is a really good discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I want to point one more question to you.
Sure.
It's kind of a double question because in the past on this show,
mm-hmm.
I've made the point that I believe that we're in the midst of World War III already. And this idea that, when we study World War II now, we start around, 1932. People living in 1933 didn't know they were fighting in World War II. They weren't calling it World War II yet.
The rise of Hitler,
right? But
Nazi Germany.
Rape of Shanghai,
mm-hmm.
what Japan's doing to China in the early 30s,
mm-hmm.
all this stuff. We look at that as the whole picture. We pretty much say, in a world level, World War II started around 1932. U.S. doesn't get in until 41. It's not really considered World War II, where the people said, I'm going off to World War II.
Mm-hmm.
38, 39 is when people are, saying that, when they're actually saying, World War II is on and I'm going to go fight it.
You can say the same thing about World War I.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
World War I is a shorter
mm-hmm.
war, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, the World War I, where they were going and say, oh, it's time to go fight in the Great War, is 1914 to 1918. But yeah, parts of it go back before that. I've made that point that we are in the midst of what historians will call World War III. And I'm going to kind of, in some ways, go against that point, actually, a little bit. And some people are now making this point that we are in the midst of a civil war, with these two warring sides going against each other. Are we, as a nation, in a second civil war here? Are we, as a world? Doesn't have to be yes or no to either of them. It could be. Are we, as a world, in the midst of World War III right now?
As far as the Civil War thing goes, Josh, I don't think that. Obviously, we're not in a civil war in the scale of
right.
the first American
Definitely
Civil War. I think the federal government is too strong for something like that
mm-hmm.
to have it overtake. I mean, there may.
But what side is the federal government even on?
It's a good question.
That's why, if it's a civil war, if it's a true civil war, well, if it's a civil war the way it's defined in many other nations, the federal government isn't necessarily on a side.
True.
It's being fought civilly amongst the people. Well,
yes.
uncivilly.
And like I said, I don't think we'll have separate states get, become involved in this and start taking up arms, and I don't think something like that's going to happen. I think everything in the United States is too centrally organized where something like that won't happen. As far as a societal civil war, is that a word? Societal. Sure. I mean, we could definitely have one brewing, and I hope it certainly doesn't come to that. But I mean, whenever you take a look at certain instances like we've seen over the past several months, then it's going to be in the back of your head as to whether or not is this going to be the next big civil war that starts. I mean, perhaps the one prior to this that really stands out in my head was the LA riots. I mean, that was another case where it was just another civil war brewing, and I would like to, and obviously, that quelled itself, and nothing really came of that. Nothing grew off of that, where you constantly had rioting in other cities like that every week. But I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe.
And I recently gave a lecture on the '68 riots, or actually a history of race riots in Detroit, in the Detroit area. I didn't just talk about '68; I talked about the 1940s and date back into the 1800s as well. But one of the key things that is still discussed, civilly discussed for the most part here in the Detroit area when they're talking about that is it called the Detroit Riot or the Detroit Rebellion? Because still many people, and there was at one point, it was a somewhat racially divided thing in the 70s. The white people called it a riot, black people called it a rebellion. And now we kind of... I think for the most part, we do a good job of kind of getting away from it. Just saying, the, 68 or the, it's why actually in the 70s they started coming up with some of these catchy phrases that maybe you may or may not have heard. They, used to call it the long hot summer of '68, or the, the problems in, the just Detroit in '68. And a lot of this sprung from the idea that they didn't want to say one or the other because it was offensive to one side, in essence. Because a lot of people did view it as a rebellion worth having, even if it was ugly and nasty, and, that a rebellion of some sorts needed to happen. And others viewed it as this was a riot. Nothing more than, people looting and stealing stuff and breaking stuff. This is just a perception history. I know I kind of digress here with some of this stuff, but this idea that we're potentially in a civil war, I don't deny it necessarily, or that we're in World War III. I don't deny that necessarily either, but I think people should remember that we're really not to that point yet. We really aren't. Look at the World War III aspect of it. We got North Korea. It's scary. Nothing wrong with being a little scared in North Korea. Nothing wrong with this happening, but North Korea threatening to bomb Guam, or even, God forbid, North Korea actually bombing Guam with a nuke, isn't World War III. North Korea versus the United States is not a world war. No. It's a slam dunk. It's, in fact, let's just, for crazy argument's sake, come up with a terrible scenario here. An absolutely terrible scenario. Say North Korea is actually a little stronger than we thought, and they managed to put together a huge attack. They hit a bunch of military bases, and they simultaneously nuke 5 cities. They hit...
in mainland United States.
Yeah, I mean, they hit LA, San Francisco, New York, Detroit, Chicago, and Houston. Huge, huge cities. They take out our largest, most powerful spots of industry. We still waste them in this war.
Sure.
It's not even a war. Even though they however much damage they could possibly do, it
would be a terrible loss of life. It would be a
Sure.
terrible day, a terrible week, but it wouldn't even be a fight. And it really would not be much of a fight. It's a person running into a room of 200 armed police officers with a knife. He'll, God forbid, he'll do some damage or he'll kill some people, but he's not making it out of that room alive. And this is the scenario here with North Korea. So we're not looking at potential world war here with China or Russia. This isn't really mounting up to be a world war. Even the Middle East, they're tough. There's some tough countries over there, but if it truly was an all-out war where we're no longer caring which faction we're doing or who our allies or who our enemies are over there, the Middle East can't hold a candle to the United States of America in a fight. So I know I kind of am contradicting old statements I made about World War III, and I'm awfully scared watching the news right now that this is the brewing of a civil war, but this isn't two armies lining up here.
No, and I agree with you, Josh. I don't think there's different stages that we need to get through here before we can even consider being on that same playing field when it comes to actual civil war, actual World War III. I talked about, I think I've pretty much said everything I had to say about the Civil War aspect. As far as World War III goes, though, the thing that really makes it scary, Josh, when you think about this, when we were, and you and I can both remember the Gulf War. I remember sitting there, watching CNN, and watching the bombs come down on Baghdad, or watching people in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv sit there and get their gas masks on because Saddam Hussein was sending over Scud missiles. Same thing in Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. The thing about those wars, though, is we knew Saddam Hussein was never going to be able to go across the Atlantic Ocean and bomb us. What's so scary about this Korean, North Korean thing, or even some aspect of the Middle East now, are some of the other players that could potentially be involved. Okay, North Korea maybe has a weapon that can reach the United States. I mean, there's still more testing that needs to be done. There's the re-entry and the targeting that they may not have mastered yet. I don't know how much the United States wants to test that theory, though, whether or not they've mastered it or not. But China's involved. And when you have somebody like China involved, then it's a totally different game. And you have to, in some ways, walk on eggshells around that because, and China does too. I mean, China has to walk on eggshells around this too. And if China's involved, does that mean Russia's involved too? I mean, will Russia and China be on a side to go against the United States? And then the United States also has NATO. So technically, if North Korea were to attack Guam, would that bring in the rest of NATO? Because it should. It should. I mean, they signed.
It might not, because NATO and the UN are worthless.
I mean, they signed a treaty.
But yeah,
I mean, you would think that they would. NATO was there.
It shouldn't even be a discussion. No, it should just be instant mobilization.
Yeah, I mean, NATO.
If you read the treaty,
NATO was there, to battle against the Warsaw Pact. And you would think, like you said,
an attack on one's an attack on all.
Exactly.
That's basically, in essence, what the treaty says.
And if that was the case, and NATO did get involved, I mean, would China, Russia, and some of these other countries start to mobilize as well? Okay, well then you have World War III happening. In the Middle East, one of the big, aside from ISIS, because everybody's against ISIS in the Middle East, whether you're Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. You're typically against ISIS and Iran. I mean, there's a common foe there. what could potentially spark a World War III type of conflict is Syria. Syria has a big ally in Russia. Same thing with Iran. Iran has a big ally in Russia.
And this, like you said, Adam, this is how world wars start.
Yes, and if the United States ends up bombing, taking down a Russian jet, or if a Russian jet ends up taking down an American fighter plane, then that could be the seeds of World War III as well. I mean, the scariest thing, too, was when Turkey ended up taking down a Russian jet.
Right.
And Turkey's part of NATO.
Yep.
And if Russia decided to attack Turkey, would that then bring in the rest of NATO to this against the originator of the whole purpose really of NATO being in existence was Russia coming back and doing that again?
Sure. No, I mean, listen, I think the United Nations is well-intentioned. I think they, for the most part, have been well-intentioned since its formation. You can say the same about NATO. And I don't have as many problems with NATO as I do with the UN. I definitely think NATO is, a well-intentioned group. And I think their original intention was very good to stop the Warsaw Pact. But in essence, this is why I'm not a big fan of these alliances. Alliances are what lead to world wars. I mean, we see that in World War I, we see it in World War II. World War I only starts because basically Germany had an alliance with the Ottoman Empire. Or I'm sorry, with Austria-Hungary. And the Ottoman Empire. This is why this happens. That very easily could have been some Serbian kid named Princip just shot the Archduke Ferdinand, and they maybe have a little insurrection down there, would we still constantly be studying the Serbian colonial war against Austria-Hungary right now if there wasn't all these alliances that took place?
I'm sure things would probably be different.
So this is an issue I have with this. And I'm actually not one of those people that necessarily beats up the United States or being the world police. I kind of get the idea that, it's a dirty job and somebody's got to do it. To some degree, I actually do see that.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Right, absolutely. Ben Parker. What's Uncle Ben's last name?
Was it Ben Parker?
No, because Aunt May's his aunt, so she has a different last name than Peter Parker.
Huh. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can look it up.
Yeah. Is it Riley? Yeah, okay. But regardless.
I'm disappointed you don't know.
I know, I should know this. I should know. My inner comic book nerd, I shut off that part of my brain to have this semi-serious conversation. But I want to say Riley.
I'll find it.
Okay. I do often find myself asking these questions when you're talking about the U.S. involvement in these. Because truth is, if the U.S. and China and everybody else, if everybody just minded their own business, and this is going to make me sound like a total isolationist. It's not necessarily what I am. But, South Korea could handle North Korea. If we just let that war happen, South Korea would win.
Against North Korea?
Yeah. South Korea would beat North Korea.
As long as China stayed out of it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. China and Russia and the U.S. And same with the Middle East. If we stayed out of that, Israel would handle most of that problem. If we just let the Middle East, if we just let the Muslim countries fight Israel, I don't want to put all these lives on the line. I realize we're talking about human life here and human life being lost when these happen, but
it's Ben Parker.
Ben Parker? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know who he was modeled after?
Who?
Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So I was wrong about that. My apologies to nerd kind out there. I do kind of partially feel like, what would happen if you just kind of walked away from these problems? Just defended your homeland and let them deal with their own problems. I mean, yeah, I realize, the consequence is more loss of life. But it's not like nobody's dying right now in the Middle East. And North Korea and South Korea, they've been at their ceasefire for the last 50 years. I mean, we really ought to maybe consider letting them deal with that. Figuring it out.
I think that again though, and it always goes back to China.
Oh, it does.
I think China is the biggest wild card in all of this, and I think that's why it really maybe can't be just left to.
Well, I think that's why South Korea wants us involved. But then, okay, so then I guess North Korea wins, and it's out of our hands now. It's no longer a problem. But I don't think North Korea can even sustain taking in South Korea with their foreign governments. I'm not even sure North Korea wants it. They say they do.
They say they do.
But can they really even handle that problem? So it's just the other thing that I want to ask. We can maybe work on wrapping up this subject, but the other thing I want to ask you, basically, is... Can common ground... I'll preface it with a little more stuff after this, but the main question is, can common ground be found here in the United States? Because I'm starting to have my doubts.
With what?
With the political climate and the polarization that we're seeing here in the United States. Because...
you said with politics.
Right. Basically, look at when 9/11 happened. For the most part, people in this country got together, and even though there's a whole lot of people here who didn't like George W. Bush, a whole lot of Democrats, a whole lot of liberals and progressives, for the most part, people kind of rallied behind this. It's like there's a whole bunch of Republicans in the United States when FDR was president, but for the most part, we rallied around the idea of World War II. We rallied around the sentiment of unity during 9/11. I feel that although a whole lot of people didn't like Barack Obama, I feel that if World War III broke out, truly broke out, while Barack Obama was president, and the United States went into war mode, I think for the most part the country would have got behind it. If World War III breaks out tomorrow...
With Donald Trump in
office. And the country goes into war mode, basically. And Trump comes out and basically speaks decently. I know that people don't like the way he talks. I'm not crazy about the way he talks. But if we go into war mode, will people support the country under Donald Trump? Because I have my doubts. I mean, I know you're very anti-Trump. So if tomorrow, God forbid, if China bombs Chicago and Donald Trump comes out and gives a speech with his dumb hair and still, talking the way he talks and everything else, he comes out and says, listen, we got to put our differences aside. We got to go to war with China. They're coming. They're here. We actually do have to, this is our Pearl Harbor here. This generation's Pearl Harbor. It's time to go to war. Will people ignore the fact that they didn't vote for Donald Trump and that they haven't liked some of his statements, they don't like his politics, and they preferred Obamacare to Trump care? Will people put this aside and rally behind the nation? Because if they won't, if the nation has actually got to that political climate, to that polarization, then the republic is lost. Aside from Civil War, aside from World War III, aside from these other what-ifs, if that's the case, if people cannot get behind Donald Trump in the country at all, the duly elected President of the United States, people cannot get behind this man for anything, no matter the cause, then the republic is lost. It really is. Then this whole experiment here, it's over with.
Well,
it was bound to eventually fail.
I think
all nations do.
I think they will.
Do you?
Yes. Especially if we were going under attack or being attacked by China. Chicago got bombed, New York got bombed, LA got bombed, something like that. I most certainly believe that Americans would rally, and this is the thing and this is what I thought was so funny about Donald Trump's whole campaign slogan, the whole "Make America Great Again." I mean, hasn't America, the fabric of this country already been great?
I think so.
I mean, yeah, I think that's something.
I think it's the greatest nation in human history.
I think it is too.
Far from perfect.
I think it's the best nation on earth.
Yeah.
And when you go and look at the problems that other countries are having in this world, then you always hear the term first world problems. Well, Americans, in general, have a lot of first world problems. America, United States. I was saying United States more so than America because
it's more correct.
Yeah, there's a difference. The United States is in and of itself bigger than just one man.
Mm-hmm.
The United States is bigger than Donald Trump. And it doesn't matter, and Donald Trump may disagree with that. I'm sure Donald Trump does disagree with that. I'm sure he likens himself more to a king rather than a president. But don't roll your eyes. I saw some eye roll there.
Well, it's a bit much, but no, he's a very authoritarian individual.
But I think, like I said, the United States is in and of itself is bigger than the office of president.
Mm-hmm.
The office of presidents, you only get 2 4-year terms.
Right.
After that, they're done.
Right.
You never. And I remember something that you said, Josh, against all the people that and that were bitching about Barack Obama.
Right.
I think you said, I'm paraphrasing, you said something along the lines of, "Well, you know what? Now it's unconstitutional for Barack Obama to continue to be president."
Right.
So again, Donald Trump is when it comes to America in general, Donald Trump is smaller than that.
I agree.
The United States is bigger than that.
I agree with you.
Yes, I do believe that if China or Russia, whoever, bombed the United States, then yeah,
I hope so. I don't know if I agree. It's all in the hypothetical at this point, though. So there isn't. Neither one of us are right or wrong. I have my doubts that people could stop the anti-Trump rhetoric if it needed to be stopped. I have my doubts. I hope I'm wrong.
Look, I wouldn't. I don't know how confident I'd be in the leadership of Donald Trump to win World War III for the United States. I mean, that's a different argument.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that he would hand power over and be more of a ceremonial figure.
I wouldn't have a huge problem with Donald Trump as a wartime president. Actually, I don't like Donald Trump much. I didn't like Obama either. If I had to choose, like right now, we're in World War III. It's worse than, it's as bad or worse than World War II. And you have to choose right now who is the leader of the military and the nation. You get Trump or Obama. I'll take Trump.
Oh.
Well, he's a strong figure. That's, you need that. He's more Franklin Delano Roosevelt-esque, another guy that I'm not crazy about as a historian, but
Oh yeah, you weren't a big FDR guy.
No, I'm not. Not a New Dealer.
No,
not a New Deal fan at all. Don't really like his.
Would
like his 4 terms in office, even though it wasn't unconstitutional back then. A lot of people make that mistake. They say he went against the Constitution. It was not unconstitutional when FDR served his 4 terms. Unprecedented, because George Washington set the precedent of the 2 terms, but it was never in the Constitution until after FDR. So, if you ever hear somebody say that it was unconstitutional for FDR to serve his 4 terms, it was not. It was not.
So you'd be there tearing down statues of FDR then?
Nope. I don't tear down statues of anybody. I make a point not to.
Okay, Reagan, JFK, or Harry Truman
has to be in charge for.
Yes.
I'll say Truman. I'd be happy with Reagan too. Definitely, I've been okay with Reagan for sure. Truman did the job, so I'm gonna go with Truman. But I'll take JFK over Trump or Obama. That's for sure. But JFK's little Bay of Pigs thing there doesn't
sit well.
Yeah, it doesn't lend the greatest military leader mantra there. So definitely that I would go Truman, Reagan close second. JFK he's all right. I like JFK.
What about the two Bushes? HW or W?
I'll take senior.
Senior?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a Donald Trump fan. I guess I just don't have as huge a problem with what he's done as president thus far. I don't like it, but he's pretty much doing what he said he was going to do. And you can dislike what he said he was going to do, but I haven't seen him do anything terribly unconstitutional. I can make arguments for what the last 15 presidents have done being unconstitutional, because there's just too much presidential power, too much executive branch power. I mean, I can, anybody that added a cabinet position, geez, don't get me started. But it's not some terrible, violation necessarily. I don't like executive orders. I don't like a lot of this stuff. I don't like, new age executive power, but it is what it is. But you want to talk about USS John McCain at all?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, I guess, that we've had so many problems when it comes to these. So I think 3 incidents in the past 6 months. And I'm not blaming Donald Trump. I think anybody blaming Donald Trump for that is just looking for an excuse at that point. But
by the way, if you are one of the haters that felt the need to terribly criticize Donald and Melania Trump because they took 15 minutes out of their day to look at the eclipse yesterday, you're a dope. Okay?
No, I'll blame Donald Trump for looking at the eclipse without any glasses on.
He had glasses.
Not at first. He was looking up at.
Hey.
I saw this funny meme. It was like they're like, Mr. President, you shouldn't look at the sun, or you shouldn't look at the eclipse. He's like, you said that. They're like CNN, and then it shows him looking up at this.
Fake news, man. Fake news.
Yeah, sure.
But please continue.
I'm not blaming Donald Trump for something like that happening. Is there a problem with the Navy, though? Perhaps. I mean, could this be a big coincidence? Yeah, perhaps. They're also saying that maybe there could have been a hack. It sounds like into the navigation systems with some of these ships, which everything is. It seems like it's computer based now, so. Right. Perhaps then that's something that is a lot more feasible.
Right. The newest reports are ruling that out, but I don't trust reports or the government, so that doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't happen.
Well, that's something that maybe the government would be more prone to denying is our systems being hacked. But is there really a winner, or is there really a good way out of this? Okay, either you're hacked or you're your captains or your admirals are incompetent when it comes to navigating ships in and around
I feel like
Asia.
sometimes this stuff happens and people say like, oh no, what are we going to do about it? I feel like, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. It was a kind of a goofy tragedy. It sucks. But I don't necessarily think that a whole system needs to be turned upside down because an accident happens. Truth is, those waters are way too populated.
Oh yeah.
There's big ships going through these waters all the time. Every once in a while, they're gonna bump into each other.
Well, that's the thing, Josh. Too is they happened in one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. So
it happened near Malaysia. Maybe they hit the wreckage of that airline. They never found. Yeah.
You know what? They think that they may have found pieces of it. Yeah. Which that continues to be just weird.
It is. It is
weird. A plane in today's day and age just dropping off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And not knowing, nobody knows where
it wasn't
it is.
even by the Bermuda Triangle.
No. Which is that in Pumpkin?
I think Bermuda Triangle is in Pumpkin.
Is it
somewhere.
in Pumpkin?
I think he's buried in the innards of Pumpkin.
I was gonna say if Bermuda Triangle is in Pumpkin, then something is seriously wrong with us.
Right. Okay, we talked pretty long on that first issue, but I have this random question just written down here that you saw in the rundown, and we won't take a lot of time on this, but I do just want to ask it. It's kind of a silly question that I just have been really milling over lately because I recently moved and I've been unpacking a million boxes. We won't take long though because we got to get to Around the Empire here, our final news section, then we'll wrap it up. But I was just hooking up my TVs and stuff, and unpacking a bunch of boxes. And am I the only guy left out there? Do people still have like old tech in their houses?
Like VCRs?
Yeah, it seems like this is not even a thing. Like, a couple guys helped me move, and they were just like, some of them thought it was kind of strange. Like, I still have like a bunch of VHS tapes. I still got VCRs. And I hooked up my, my DVD player yesterday. Like, I have the RF hookup still in the back of my TV. I get the fatback TVs and stuff. And
you have the CRTs? Is it the CRT? TV?
Yeah, the RF thing where, it has AV on it too, but I just hooked it up like
is it flat screen?
I think the one in the living room is a flat screen, but it's still like the fatback flat screen,
Okay.
And I got TVs in my kids' room that are just old fashioned TVs, just little TVs. It's not a big place, so I put some TVs in their room and stuff. That are just old-fashioned stuff, So, am I the only? Do people not even have this stuff anymore? Is the old tech just gone?
I wish Nick was here for this because I know Nick is a big He's a big VHS guy.
Yeah, and do you have CDs still?
Yeah, but I don't use them.
Really, you don't use your CDs?
If I want to,
they still come out with CDs, right? I don't buy much new music, but they still do release them.
Do. I stream all my stuff though. Okay. It's just so much easier. You don't have to.
It sounds like even iPods are kind of gone now because it's all streaming, right?
Funny you bring that up. The iPad is basically down to the iPad Touch now.
Okay.
They just got rid of the Nano, and they've been really decreasing their the models that they have. Like I said, I think they only have the iPod Touch, which is
people just stream it off their phones now. Basically.
Yeah, which the iPod Touch is basically just an iPhone without calling capability.
Sure.
But yeah,
I know it's weird because obviously I'm an internet guy. I'm on internet podcasts all the time, streaming internet shows. But I just I have CDs still. I have DVDs. I do have DVDs still.
Yeah, but we stream a bunch of our stuff.
Yeah.
We have an Apple TV, and if we want to rent a movie, we just do it off of the Apple TV.
Okay.
Or watch it on Netflix or Hulu or something like that. It's just it keeps the clutter down, definitely.
I have records. I have a pretty big record collection, but that's kind of I feel like that's different because some people do their records still.
Well,
that's kind of a nostalgic, cool.
Exactly.
That's a throwback. Records are a lot bigger now than they were 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, sure.
Nobody had records. 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
That was old tech, but now more things come out on record. So I got my records I listen to all the time.
A lot of the the more underground bands that I like too. They've always release stuff on vinyl.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And actually, so a lot of things people don't know. I have a lot of old records, a lot of old vinyl. The new vinyl is actually a lot better.
Oh, it is.
It's way better. It's double thick.
Yep.
And it's really it's it's really nice stuff.
Yeah,
and my old records still work too.
Yeah,
I got records from garage sales from the 70s and stuff. They work great.
Record players, it's just a cool technology that was around, and I don't think something like that will ever die. I mean, you don't see.
I have a fairly modern player too, a fairly modern record player.
And that's the thing is, and I think something that helped that too is DJing.
Oh, totally. Oh, totally. Yeah.
I mean, that helped.
Rap and DJing, that helped bring back the
that
vinyl.
helped keep it around. And because people could go, I mean, because you could play a record off of a turntable that a DJ would use. I mean, that's...
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it doesn't make a difference. You don't have to...
The one I have could be used for both.
Yeah.
And then I have a second record player, too, that the reason I have that one, it still works good, but that one has an 8-track player attached. Sure. Because I got a few 8-tracks, and I think that's funny.
Yeah, well, that's 8-tracks are fun just because it was such a lame technology. Right. I think.
Does anyone have cassette tapes, music cassette? Because I do.
I know you're a big cassette tape guy, Josh.
I still have tapes.
I think tapes are awful. Yeah. I don't like tapes. CDs were such a big improvement over cassette tapes because it went vinyl, tape,
right.
And then CD, but CDs.
I know there might be people listening to the show right now thinking, "What the hell is a tape?"
Yeah, good. Very well.
I mean, really, because my kids didn't know what they were not that long ago.
Yeah, it just they weren't cool. I didn't like them.
I bought a while back. Yeah, it was probably 5 years ago or so. I bought a Mustang, a '96 Mustang, and when I first got it, it had a CD player in it also, but then still down low, it also had a cassette player. Yeah, and my kids were like, "What is that?" And I still had a bunch of old tapes. I just put them in the car. And I would just play them, still worked great. But I don't know. I like all that stuff. I guess I'm just kind of a collector when it comes to that stuff. But
I've got a tape deck in here.
You do? You do.
There's a tape deck up there.
Yeah, in the studio. Okay, wow. All right.
And a CD player.
Yeah. Okay.
Notice they're not on.
Yeah, they're not. That's true. But I was just wondering if anyone else has this because I feel like there are some people out there that maybe even have like a small collection of them, but I feel like I actually use them. Like I'm still that guy that like I didn't like rebuy everything I had in VHS on DVD, and I definitely then didn't go buy it on Blu-ray. So like some movies, like I just like, oh, for watching, you want to watch Indiana Jones? Yeah, that'd be cool. Like I'm gonna pull out the cassette. I'm gonna pull out my VHS tape. I'm gonna watch it.
Watch old Star Wars, the THX.
What's funny is I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, as people may know. Huge Star Wars nerd. But a little while ago, I was going to watch Phantom Menace, and I have the original trilogy, probably at least 2 VHS versions and at least 2 DVD versions of it, and I have Revenge of the Sith on DVD. I got Attack of the Clones, but I actually do not own The Phantom Menace on DVD.
Oh, really?
I was still doing VHS when that movie came out, and I have 2 or 3 copies of it on VHS. I do not own that movie on DVD. It never even really occurred to me. Like I still watch VHS tapes. I don't know. That probably makes me really weird though.
The thing that I think Star Wars is another special circumstance because I know a lot of the excuse me. I know a lot of the Star Wars nerds had a big problem, and you may be one of them, Josh, that didn't like what George Lucas did.
The constant re-releases and stuff.
The constant re-releases, the changes and everything, the add-ons, you know what I'm talking about,
right? The special edition,
special effects, the new special.
A lot of younger people may not even realize that the version of Star Wars that you buy on DVD now, or the version that you watch if it happens to be on TBS, that wasn't really the original version.
No, it wasn't the original version.
There's a lot of added scenes that Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope is not. We did not grow up watching that scene.
That scene, though, where they're talking outside the Millennium Falcon, I think that was originally in the movie, but they cut it out.
They did, but Jabba the Hutt wasn't supposed to be a big lizard guy.
He was supposed to be a guy. Yep, he's supposed to be just a big fat.
He was gonna be a big furry type dude originally, and they just couldn't do it with the special effects. They thought it was dumb. So that was it's true. Lucas wanted that in, but he couldn't do it with the special effects.
Yes.
So he chose to take that out, not because of the story, but
You know what my biggest problem was? Like, I really didn't have a big issue with the special effects and everything. I in fact, I thought it was kind of cool. Two things that bugged me, though, was the music video that they did in Return of the Jedi. I thought that was incredibly lame. And the second one was how they replaced Anakin Skywalker
with Hayden Christensen.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that at all because it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Luke wouldn't know who that is.
Yeah, no.
He never saw that version of Anakin Skywalker. The only version he saw was the old man when he took off Vader's helmet and mask and everything.
I didn't like that they changed the Ewok song at the end either.
No, neither did I. Oh,
The old
there's-
Ewok song
okay,
is classic.
okay, there's three things.
Yeah.
And that new one that they had sucked.
Yeah, and Empire for the most part they just added some background. That's cool. I don't have a huge problem with special edition, but truth is, I kind of just like the old one better. You know, if I'm gonna choose, I kind of just like that.
I do kind of like how they had all the different, the different planets, the different worlds
Cool.
celebrating
Yeah,
at
that's
the
cool.
end.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's cool. Knocking down the statue of Palpatine, which evidently.
did they do that?
Yeah.
Did they knock down the statue of Palpatine?
Yeah,
I never noticed that.
The Coruscant scene. There's a huge statue of Palpatine. They're pushing it over.
Was there Sith protesting?
There might have been. There might have been some neo Sith, some neo Sith guys out there protesting. But
Every two assholes on doing a podcast there,
right?
Debating whether or not that was.
Yeah.
Are they debating Sith? Are they deleting Sith?
The Emperor
history?
was bad, but we don't need to sanitize Sith history here. Okay, we have definitely gone over tonight.
You know what? I want to. We got to do a satire episode. Just
we could do a satire deep issues Star Wars history episode. We really could. We definitely could, and we should. We should. Especially, if we can get either Bex or Brad Davis back on here, some of our big nerd experts. That would be a lot of fun. Maybe Ed too. Maybe Ed. He might be good for it. What's up? Around the Empire with Adam Hernandez is up next, and then we'll wrap up this episode.
Well, big trade today in the NBA just happened hours ago. Kyrie Irving getting dealt to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the Brooklyn Nets' 2018 first-round pick. This was certainly a
You're
trade.
all going to the Cavs, right?
Well,
all that's going to the Cavs.
Yes, all that's going to the Cavs. Kyrie Irving going to
to Boston.
To Boston, yep. Obviously, this was Kyrie Irving being traded was somewhat of a formality. I mean, everybody knew that he was going to get traded. It was something that had to be done.
I was hoping he was coming to Detroit.
I was too. I thought that the longer this dragged on, I thought that the better chance that
I agree
that he does.
And I actually thought Andre Drummond would actually been I don't like him here. I think he'd be a good fit on the Cavs.
They very well, yeah, but
I don't understand why Boston dealt Isaiah Thomas.
No, it's a nice return for Cleveland. I think it was certainly. I could have seen him getting less. I mean, when you look at it from two different standpoints here, when you look and see what Chicago got for Jimmy Butler, who Jimmy Butler, I believe, is a better player than Kyrie Irving since he plays on both ends of the floor.
Sure.
And
I think Isaiah Thomas is a better player than Kyrie Irving.
Well,
in a lot of ways. I don't understand why Boston would want this trade.
The thing, though, with this is Kyrie Irving hurt the leverage that the Cleveland Cavaliers had in any of this. When you are approaching a trade and you know that a guy wants out,
right?
And everybody knew that Kyrie Irving couldn't be on the Cavs anymore. That hurts what you're going to get in return for it.
I think the Cavs made out great in this trade, actually.
So, big trade, something that definitely needed to happen, and it's gonna be interesting to see that whole LeBron Kyrie Irving rivalry, because that's probably the next big one next big intriguing rivalry.
If I'm a Warriors fan, I'm a little bit nervous right now.
You know what? I'm not. I think the Warriors are still leaps and bounds ahead of Cleveland, to tell you the truth. I
think so too, but I'm a little bit nervous.
That Kevin Durant trade that changed the fabric. So Anyways, Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump aren't talking to each other. Apparently, they haven't talked in the last 2 weeks. What do you think of this, though, Josh? I mean, I know Donald Trump, he likes to talk about his base, but in order to get anything done in Congress and on the Hill,
kind of got to talk to the Senate.
I mean, you need to have the support of your own party,
right?
Especially when that party's in control
you
of
got to
both.
at least be talking to the leaders of the party, of both parties, actually.
Yeah, I've never. I don't know. It just seems like this is completely counterproductive. And it's certainly more of a benefit to Donald Trump to have this work out than it is Mitch McConnell. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I think it's more beneficial for the American people for them to talk to each other. I mean, I understand some of Mitch McConnell's complaints, but quite frankly, it's not up to the senior senator of Kentucky to decide whether or not he's going to talk to the President of the United States. Like, swallow your pride, man. You kind of have to.
Seems like both of them have to.
Oh, they do. They do, for sure. But, I mean, part of Mitch McConnell's job description directly involves you better talk to the president whether you want to or not.
Well, the way I look at this too, Josh, is, I mean, you may be running out of time.
Right.
I mean, 2018, that election is a little over a year away.
Mm-hmm.
And if 2018 happens and the Democrats all of a sudden take control of either one, but if they end up taking control of both the House and the Senate, then...
Wouldn't break my heart to be saying senior senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul.
I know that. I know that wouldn't break your heart, but I don't know. You know what? I look at
Not a huge Mitch McConnell fan.
No, I figured you probably weren't. They
need to speak to each other. They really do. Both of them need to.
The way I look at this too, Josh, I don't think Donald Trump, and this is the reason why I look at this in this particular sense. Donald Trump doesn't want to move away from the Republicans on the Hill, in the Senate, in the House.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump very much needs these individuals, and yes, they need him as well in order to get anything done.
Sure.
Because for the most part, everything's going to have to pass through the president's desk, and he's going to have to sign it into law unless they're able to work with the Democrats and come up with a supermajority and so on and so forth. However, if things get really bad with Donald Trump, I could totally see the Republicans completely turning on him and voting to impeach him and then remove him from office.
Right. No, I know it is there. I feel like there's got to be grounds. He's got to do something much worse than what he's done thus far. But he's an impeachable guy. I'm not predicting a Trump impeachment per se. I don't think it'll happen, especially while Republicans control Congress.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's much more likely. And this isn't me supporting it or not. So, I'm just trying to predict the future here. Look at it from political terms. But if the Democrats were to take control of Congress, which historically the opposite party almost always gains seats in the midterm election. Almost always. So if they were to get control of Congress here, there's definitely swayable votes on the Republican side. For impeachment.
So do you think if the Democrats end up taking control in 2018, do you think that it's going to happen? I mean, they're going to bring this up.
I think there'll be whispers of it. I still don't think it's going to happen without a true smoking gun. I still would not predict that, but I will say that I think it's impossible until that happens. Just right now, I just don't see him getting impeached by a Republican Congress. I just don't. Even though there are votes there, I know there's whispers. Oh, it's he's 6 votes away from impeachment. I don't really buy that. honestly.
I don't know. I don't even think that it's been seriously brought up
Right.
yet.
Right.
Seems like there's too much going on right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. Donald Trump will not pardon former Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say it? Whatever.
Yeah.
And I think he's not going to pardon him yet. I don't think he should pardon him. I think this is just something he should probably leave alone, considering the racial profiling that took place, the abuse of power allegations, misuse of funds allegations. This is just something that Donald Trump should probably, in my opinion, just let go if he wants to continue to.
I don't think Sheriff Joe is going to be in quite as much trouble as people think he is either. I think Sheriff Joe's a good guy. A little. I know he's a little much for a lot of people, but. I do like the man. I do respect the man, and I don't think he's going to end up, in terrible, dire straits, like some are predicting. And I think if he gets his pardon, it'll be on the way out. I think he would probably get a pardon on the way out from just about any president, actually.
See, President Nicolas Maduro has told international media that he plans to visit Moscow to meet with Putin. The speech was televised to the nation at the presidential palace, and this comes amid Maduro saying that Venezuela-U.S. relations are at worst point. I don't know if they... Again, I don't know why this is becoming a huge issue.
Right.
I don't know why we need to saber rattle with Venezuela. I don't know why we need to say that we're considering military action when it comes to Venezuela.
Sure.
If we want to offer our support to the Venezuelan people, that's certainly one thing and something I would support. However, military action with Venezuela is something that...
Venezuela's a mess.
Yeah,
it's a disaster.
That should certainly be taken completely off the table right now at this point. But I don't know. That seems like a something else that you just don't want to mess with, especially with Venezuela if they're having ties with Russia and everything that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, so. I don't really know why. I don't think Russia is going to reach out to Venezuela quite the way Venezuela thinks they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that President Maduro is going to get the love from Russia that he's feigning right now. I don't see it happening. Venezuela's a mess. I don't think they have a lot of friends in this world.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. Let's see. Bill Cosby has an all-new legal team, Josh, for his spring 2018 retrial. This includes the attorney who represented Michael Jackson in his child molestation trial. What's his name here? Thomas Masseriu. He's the one that defended Michael Jackson.
It's too bad he needs Cochran.
Too bad Cochran's dead. And former federal prosecutor Kathleen Bliss and Penn Sam Silver look like they're all going to be on Bill Cosby's new defense team.
I actually am surprised how fast they're expediting some of the stuff with Bill Cosby. It is looking like he might end up facing some trouble. I really honestly just thought that any decent legal team would be able to just keep this going till Cosby was way too old or dead. I thought they would just be able to delay these proceedings forever. He's an old man. He's rich. He can... I just always thought they'd just get around it. But the other side, they are expediting a little bit faster than I thought it may happen.
Yeah, I always thought that was... To me, it just seemed like a slam dunk.
Oh, it
Bill
is.
Cosby,
It is. But in his position of power, financially, and his age, I just don't see how they're going to... I just didn't see how they were going to put it to him. I thought they would just... I thought their game plan would just be delay.
Yeah.
Just to make it happen, and then eventually say, oh, he's too sick to go to jail. I think they're trying that, and I definitely think that's going to be the new legal team's
Game
their
plan.
strategy is. I think they're just going to go in and just see what they can do to delay it. I think they're going to keep Cosby in the dark, and no matter how well he might be, I think they're going to paint the picture of a tired, sick, tired, sick, elderly old man, who can't make it there.
Who like to drug women and
Right. I mean,
but he's old now.
Yeah, none of that matters to them.
What do we have here? We're on the 1 year anniversary of Gawker's demise when Peter Thiel helped Hulk Hogan take down the former web blog started by Nick Denton, and this comes from the Washington Post. Though Gawker is gone, the fact remains that the powerful still don't have the public's best interest at heart. But the courage required to point this out in musing, satirical, and pointed matter is in shorter and shorter supply. For instance, a recent story about the allegedly cult-like and possibly abusive lifestyle of rapper R. Kelly that appeared in BuzzFeed almost never ran thanks to outlets' fear of a Thiel-type response. It's impossible to know how many similarly important stories will never see the light of day for that very reason. All that's really left to say is that Gawker is gone and that Donald Trump is president. That simple reality should comfort the rich and powerful everywhere and chill the bones of the rest of us. So I was always a fan of Gawker. I thought that they most certainly got screwed over by a rich guy who funded Hulk Hogan's pursuit to take him down. Even though Hulk Hogan was an incredibly big dirtbag himself. Was Gawker ruthless and seemed heartless a lot of the times? Yeah. But, I mean...
I also thought that Hulk Hogan got a bad rap and some of that stuff, But
Yeah. I don't know.
There's plenty of rich and powerful people out there who are against Donald Trump, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Warren Buffett's one of them.
Yeah.
One of the richest and most powerful.
Yeah, there's this idea that all the rich people are conservatives or all the rich people are Republicans or that big business is always Republican. No. It really isn't.
Here's one for you, Josh. Deadline Hollywood is reporting that a Joker movie is in the works. According to a report from Deadline Hollywood, Warner Brothers and DC Comics are in the early stages of developing an origin movie for the Batman villain, the Joker.
Phew, how do you do an origin movie, though? They've never even gone into that in the comics.
As far as Joker?
Yeah, that's part of the Joker's thing is that the Joker's so crazy that even he doesn't know his own origin.
Yeah, I wonder who they get to play him though. If that's the case, you got to wonder who do they get to play Joker, because ever since Heath Ledger, that's always been.
I wouldn't want to take the role.
No, neither would I.
And
I always thought Jared Leto didn't do it. He didn't do a bad job.
No, he's all right.
It's just he was the guy that happened to follow up Heath Ledger.
Right. But then if they're going to keep that whole, it's an origin story, so I guess he's going to be younger, but it just, if they're actually trying to tie the DC universe in together as one big cinematic universe like Marvel did, then you got to kind of keep the same actors every once in a while.
Yeah.
So you can kind of keep some of this stuff going. Unless they're not going to tie it in. If that's the case, then it's kind of not that crazy about it,
Yeah.
But I know some have hinted that perhaps the Jared Leto Joker isn't the original Joker. I know some have said that he's Jason Todd, or he's some other things that this Ben Affleck version of Batman actually killed the last Joker, and that this is a different Joker.
I always had My problem with the Jared Leto joke was never Jared Leto, and I think I said this before. It was some of the stupid things that they had to make it out that this guy, Joker's not good. He's kind of a psycho.
Right.
And so they had to write psycho on, tattoo psycho on his forehead. And it's like we already know he's the Joker.
Right.
Of course we know he's bad and he's a lunatic.
Right. Just just kind of like with I didn't see the new Spider-Man movie. I heard it was really good, but I get so tired of the origin stories, man. Everybody
I agree.
Everybody knows that Peter Parker gets bit by a radioactive spider and becomes Spider-Man. Even if you don't want to know, you know that. And everybody knows that young Bruce Wayne watches his parents get murdered, and then he becomes Batman. You don't need to tell that story. For God's sakes, we all know it, that story, you know? Just show us Batman, show us Spider-Man, show us the Joker.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell the same damn origin story 10 times in 25 years.
Apparently, according to Anchor Josh, the Super Nintendo Classic keeps selling out immediately.
Really?
I know you have a big problem with these.
I do.
With these systems.
It's junk. It's a waste of money.
They're Raspberry Pis, right?
Yeah, get a Raspberry Pi, get an Orange Pi, get an emulator. Go to a garage sale and buy yourself an old Super Nintendo. They still work great. And then go on eBay and get the games you actually want. This is useless. These Super Nintendo minis.
Aren't the games really expensive though?
Some of them are. Used video games are high right now. Next week they might be low. You know, it's kind of cyclical with the used video game market. A lot of people are hoarding them right now. I'm one of them. You know, but really, there's so many other options out there, and it's better and it's easier than these. The SNES Mini, it's just a waste of money. It was a good idea. It's just a waste of money. It should have 10 times more games than it does, and it should cost half as much.
I like the idea of coming out with like different genre oriented.
Yeah, but they don't do that. They purposely only give you a few games, and they spread it out over a bunch of genres. So
you can't play actual cartridges in these, though, right?
No, which would be cool if you could. If they had a built-in cartridge port. Thing is, man, go get yourself a Retron. Go get yourself an emulator. You can play it on your old Dreamcast. You can download these games.
That's what I was going to say is, everybody has a computer.
Right.
Nowadays. I mean, emulators and ROMs are incredibly easy
and
to
that's
download.
all this SNES Mini is.
And go out and
you don't even get a choice which ones you get.
Yeah, and go out and buy a controller from Best Buy for like $20.
Do you know what they easily could have done? You could have put, make the thing 4 times the size as it is. They could have put every Super Nintendo game ever, the entire catalog, on this thing. Then charge $200.
That'd be great.
It's still a ripoff. It's still a ripoff, but that's a good ripoff. That's a ripoff I'm willing to do. Every Super Nintendo game ever, one system, $200. Boom. Now there you go.
That'd be sweet.
That's what the SNES Mini should have been. Okay, fine. That's too many. There's like 600 games. Do 3 of them. 120, $150 a pop. So now for $450, you can get every one of them over 3 different SNES Minis. Release them 6 months apart to keep the people wanting more.
Or just do like the genre ones. Here's your sports one.
Mm-hmm.
It's every sports game that Super Nintendo ever released.
Sure.
Here's your role playing one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the role playing games or strategy games that was ever released.
That'd be better. Yeah, that'd be better than this. I mean, then what do they even get? 20 games or something? I mean, it's junk. It's junk.
So I assume you probably get all the Marios that they release.
I don't even know. I think so. Yeah, you get a lot of the. But they purposely
one of them, yeah, like
they purposely leave them out, so then they come out with the next one.
Yeah. So now you're gonna have a bunch of systems,
right? It's
Super Nintendo systems, Super Nintendo Classic systems laying around, which is kind of counterproductive to the whole point. I mean, as far as before I was talking about reducing clutter. So, man, I want to play Super Mario.
These are nothing but plug and play ROMs. They could have easily come out with one system, made it 3 or 4 times the size, and this thing could have had every Nintendo, every Super Nintendo, every Game Boy, and every N64 game built into it, and then charge whatever you want.
Yeah.
Really. Still be a ripoff, but charge whatever you want.
Are you a Super Nintendo or a Nintendo guy? Which one do you like?
Both.
You like both of them?
Yeah. I mean, I
like Super Nintendo.
It's like picking your favorite kid. I mean, they're pretty much my 2 favorite systems.
Yeah.
I love N64 as well.
For me, it was Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis.
I recently, a couple weeks ago, plugged in my N64 for my son, and he's been like on this N64 kick. That's just one of the systems he'd just never seen.
I think one of the best controllers ever made.
Oh, love it.
Love it. Yeah.
Love it.
And it was so different too.
Yeah, totally different, very versatile, very fun to use.
Yes, very versatile. It came out during a time too when they were making shitty controllers.
Right.
I mean, because the Dreamcast controller I thought was shitty.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Always hated the PlayStation controller. Always have. Never liked that.
You never liked the PlayStation? I liked
No.
the PlayStation controller.
No, I never liked it. Xbox is okay, but wasn't a fan.
See, I like the PlayStation controller much more than I like the Xbox
Do you?
controller. Yeah, Xbox controller is too bulky.
Yeah, I'm with you. But no, I never liked that PlayStation controller.
And the Dreamcast controller was the worst.
No, it's terrible.
Worst
Terrible.
controller ever made.
But you can get a Dreamcast, and you can get all these ROMs downloaded right onto a disc. Play everything you want right on your Dreamcast
without buying Dreamcast Classic. That's probably going to be coming out.
No, you don't need to buy that. Find yourself an old Dreamcast on on eBay. They're a good system. They mostly still work very well. Get yourself a Dreamcast and you can get a disc and you can download every Super Nintendo game ever made onto one disc and play them all on your Dreamcast.
How come Sega Genesis Classic hasn't come out yet?
I don't know, but you can do that on the Dreamcast as well. Get a Sega Genesis game. I mean, really, I got 4 discs sitting at home. One has every Atari game ever. One has every NES. One has Super NES. One has Genesis. 4 CDs play every game ever on your Dreamcast. Couldn't get any easier than that.
Can you save on a memory card like some of those?
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to. I haven't tried every game. I mean, they're not all of them are perfect, but for the most part, they're damn good.
Finally, Josh, to finish out the show tonight, the eclipse was yesterday.
Yes.
The eclipse, partial eclipse here in Detroit, but it was the first eclipse in like 30-some years that was viewable from the United States. I mean, the area of totality crossed right through the U.S. mainland midsection. So
pretty cool.
I know here in Detroit, we're able to see some of it. I think we saw like 75 to 80% of the eclipse happening. So it got pretty dark here.
Yeah, it did.
It was cool. I managed to see it. Looked up a couple of times without any.
Didn't burn your retinas.
No, I'm good. I can still see right now.
That's good.
Yeah, it's fake news. I'm done. But yeah, it was cool to see. I think the other one's happening in like 7 years, so it's not like it's totally spread out. But and I don't know if the next one's going to be better for this area.
Right, and they've talked about how rare these things are, but truth is, 4 have happened since the last time the Lions won the championship. So,
well,
here in Detroit, not that rare.
Well,
by our standards.
The Lions winning a championship or a playoff game is seemingly more rare than there being a total eclipse of the sun.
Absolutely. So. Significantly more rare.
Yeah, Lions fans see that happening like, oh, yeah, great. When are the Lions going to win a playoff game?
Right, right.
But, Josh, that's it. Are we going to plug next week's show?
Yes, yeah. Tune in next week. We're back to our Deep Issues show, 5th Tuesday of the month. Next week, we are doing Zombie Apocalypse and all the many, many things that go along with the zombie apocalypse prepping, and so on. So it'll be a fun one. That's stretching the what a deep issue is a little bit with zombies, but there's some stuff to talk about with this though. So it's going to be a really fun show. Adam and I and hopefully some of the other regular cast of the Deep Issues crew will be here. And Zombie Apocalypse, it'll be fun. I know you're big into zombies.
Yeah, Adam, I love zombie. Anything zombie. I think it's
going to be a good show. It's going to be really fun. We got that one, and then we got 9/11 coming up in September as well. But next week, Zombie Apocalypse right here, theempiremedia.com. Don't miss it. Be there.
Yep. See you later, guys.